Good afternoon, everyone. We're going to begin today's formal meeting of the Phoenix City Council for December 2nd, 2015. We're going to begin today's meeting with an invocation. The invocation today will be given by Pastor Dr. Michael Maiden from the Church for the Nations. Pastor Maiden, please come forward, and if you can, please stand for the invocation.
Thank you, Mayor Stanton. Thank you, Vice Mayor Valenzuela and City Council members. Thank you for your service to our city. Thank all of your staff also. Loving Father, today we thank you for the city of Phoenix. We thank you for allowing us the privilege to live here, to serve here, to work here, to grow here, to build our families, our lives here. We're grateful for such a beautiful place. We're thankful for your blessing on our city. We remember today the city of San Bernardino that has been under some kind of a violent attack today. We pray, God, for your continued protection there, your healing, your comfort for the wounded, that you would watch over that place and that city, that you would help the people that have been hurt to heal. In our city, Lord, we thank you. Today I see the firemen here and others, our policemen. We pray for your blessing upon all those that serve in our city. Thank you for the heroes, God, our firemen, our policemen, all those that lay down their lives all the time, serving us, protecting us, watching over us. We ask you to watch over them. We ask you to protect them, to protect our city. We thank you, God, for the beautiful and legacy of Phoenix, a city, an oasis in the desert, only because of your blessing, and we're thankful for it. We're also, God, reminding ourselves, God, of those who are needy and hurting in our community. We ask you to watch over those, the least of them, to protect them, to, God, safeguard their lives, to help us as a city and help us as a community to serve them and care for them the way that would please you. We ask your blessing upon our city to continue. Ask your blessing of wisdom upon our leaders, our city council members and mayor. Thank you, God, for your faithfulness to us, your love to us. We're grateful and we're thankful. In the name of Jesus, amen. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pastor Maiden. Our Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Vice Mayor Danny Valenzuela. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Councilman DeCiccio.
Here.
Councilwoman Gallego.
Here.
Councilman Gates. Here. Councilman Nowakowski. Councilwoman Pastor.
Here.
Councilman Waring. Councilwoman Williams.
Here.
Vice Mayor Valenzuela. Here. Mayor Stanton.
Here, Pastor Maiden, I want to say thank you for mentioning the tragedy that occurred in San Bernardino. Early reports that there may be upwards of 20 victims, another tragic mass shooting in the United States of America. Early reports also that it was a shooting at a government gathering, a public meeting, just like the one we are having here today. So I know I speak on behalf of every single person in this room that our thoughts, prayers, and well wishes are with people in San Bernardino, and particularly the victims of that tragic shooting today. We have an interpreter here with us today. Judy Holm, would you please introduce yourself?
Buenas tardes, me llamo Judy, soy intérprete de español. Si alguien necesita el equipo, por favor venga conmigo o con el personal de la ciudad. Gracias.
Thank you very much. According to the City Council rules, we will have now citizen comments. We'll have up to 15 minutes of citizen comments. Based upon the number of cards we have for citizen comment, we may not make through all of them during that 15-minute period. Those citizens who are not able to speak now will have the opportunity to speak before the meeting ends, but at the conclusion of regular business before this City Council. Each member of the public will have up to 3 minutes to provide their comments to the City Council. The first speaker under citizen requests will be Frances Garrett. Ms. Garrett, are you here? Thank you for coming, and it's good to see you, and up to 3 minutes. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mayor Stanton and City Council members. My name is Fran Garrett, and community members. My name is Fran Garrett, and I'm the mother of Michelle Cousseau, who was killed last August 14th 2014 by Officer Sergeant Dupra. I'm here today to ask that I be put on the next City Council's agenda so that we may elaborate on this, my concerns, and have open dialogue. Today, I'm here to really express my concerns and disappointment in the recent ruling of Sergeant Percy Dupra in the handling of the untimely death of my daughter Michelle and the unjust punishment he has received. I'm also here asking that the decision be overturned and overruled by the mayor and the city council and also the city manager. Sergeant Dupra was found guilty of 14 violations by the Use of Force Board, found guilty by his peers. And by not following the written policies and procedures of the Phoenix Police Department, of which the outcome was the death of my daughter, Michelle. Also, he appeared after that before the disciplinary board, and out of the choices of termination, suspension, demotion, or other, Sergeant Dupra was given a demotion, which allows him to still remain on the police department and working in the community and still working within the community. I feel that Sergeant Dupra and others, I feel he needs to be fired and not allowed continuing working with and in the community with the same frame of mind. We sent a plea out to Chief Yarner, but he continued with the ruling that the board, he went along with their decisions. With that, what we as community members feel that by terminating Sergeant Dupra, this would send a message out to the community that our voices have been heard and that there is accountability for the actions that led to the death of my daughter. I understand that this does not undo the pain and loss that my family and I have felt, but it would also send a message out that police brutality, excessive force, and misconduct would not be tolerated in the city of Phoenix and by the Phoenix Police Department. So once again, we are asking that this matter be put on the agenda for the next city council meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Garrett, for taking the time to come down here. Under the rules of open meeting laws, the city council can't respond to citizen comments. It's not an agendized item. I would ask our city manager to make sure that someone gets with Ms. Garrett to explain the role and responsibility of the mayor and council as it relates to personnel decisions within the city. The next speaker under citizens' request will be Malik Waheen. Mr. Waheen, good to see you. Up to 3 minutes.
Thank you, sir. Just following what my sister said about my niece's death, I would simply like to remind the council, not that I know you know of justice and what justice is, et cetera, but I couldn't help but be reminded that, you know, that goddess holds three symbols. She has the sword, the blindfold, and the scales. And just in looking at that and following along with my sister's request that we be perhaps somehow included in making an input to come up with something that we feel is closer to justice in this case, that sword represents the coercive power of the courts, or in this case, of the mayor and the city council, et cetera, to overrule that decision. Ideally, that's a two-edged sword. It should go not just in one direction. It should apply no matter who's involved. The scales are there in justice's hands to bring about an objective standard by which competing claims are weighed. And somehow, to me, when you weigh my niece's life with a job change, something's wrong. They can't be, there's no balance there. There's something way out of balance. Lastly, there's a blindfold on justice, and that blindfold ideally should point to the fact that justice is meted out impartially. It shouldn't matter who you are. It shouldn't matter how much wealth you have, how much power you have, how much money you have, or what job you have. So I ask that this council exercise its opportunity and I think responsibility to do the right thing and to pursue what would be seen as a just resolution of Mr. Dupra's crime in a way that allows not only Michelle's mother and the family to heal, but this community could better heal if there was some reparative justice. I'm not talking about retributive justice. I'm talking about cut his hands off or do any other outlet. I'm saying that this community cannot heal the way it could if justice were truly done, if the weights of scales of balance were more even. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Raheen, for your coming down and giving your testimony. Reverend Jarrett Maupin is the next speaker. Jarrett, you'll have up to 3 minutes to provide testimony to this council. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Mayor and Council. It's good to see you all here today. Let me begin by sharing a list with you. Nia Kinney of Spring Valley, South Carolina, City of Democrats. The city reached a justice-oriented decision with the officer involved when he threw her out of her desk chair in school. He was fired. Freddie Gray, Baltimore, Maryland, a City of Democrats. The officers there are charged with murder. Laquan McDonald of Chicago, Illinois, City of Democrats. The officer has been fired. The chief's been fired. The mayor is in the crosshairs. Jonathan Farrell of Charlotte, North Carolina, City of Democrats, killed. Officer resigned. Tamir Rice of Cleveland, Ohio, City of Democrats. The officer was charged with murder. Eric Garner, New York City, New York, City of Democrats. The officers were stripped of their badges, guns, and given permanent desk duty. Then the list goes on as far as settlement figures go, and with respect to restorative justice to the families. I know how the rules of the city work, and I know that the council and the mayor can't just fire arbitrarily individual employees, but you can make a formal recommendation. I find it very disturbing that Officer Dupra is in fact still a part of our police department, and I don't think it's healthy for the department. I don't think his continued employment is healthy as we search for a new chief. As you know, in coming months, Chief Yonner will be retiring and we will have to find his replacement. I think it's just frankly unfair to shift the burden of that tough decision to his replacement. We should be focusing on a fresh start for our city with respect to the leadership of the police department and relationships with the community. So I would urge any members of the council whose consciences have been touched by the words of Ms. Cusseau and the facts of this case and the findings of your own use of force review board that said he violated policy when Officer Dupra killed Michelle Cusseau, to make a motion to draft a resolution to make a public statement affirming, one, that Black Lives Matter and that all lives matter in this city, to affirm that, and two, to make a recommendation. You can make a recommendation to our distinguished city manager and deputy city manager and to our current chief of police that you're not comfortable with Percy Dupra remaining an employee of the Phoenix Police Department. Mr. Mayor, you're my friend, so I'm going to put you in the hot seat. If you continue to employ Percy Dupra, and he is fit for service and fit to carry a gun and fit to carry a badge, then my challenge to you would be for you to add him to your personal security detail. Now, I don't think you'd be willing to do that. I wouldn't want to see that. I don't think anyone in their right mind would want to see that. But if he's fit to serve within the ranks of the Phoenix Police Department, I see no reason why we shouldn't elevate him for his distinguished service. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Reverend Maupin, for your testimony. I think I'm within bounds to respond only to the fact that I don't choose my own security detail. We have a sergeant who does a great job in choosing outstanding police officers for that detail. Ms. Singleton, Elizabeth Singleton, you are the next speaker in citizen comment, followed by Alyssa Cusseau, and then we may be close to our 15 minutes. I'll check at that point. Ms. Singleton, good to see you.
Good to see you too. I'm glad to be here. I want to thank the mayor and the city council and our community for being here. Today I address the city council members and our community on the behalf of Michelle Cusot. I'm an advocate, a sister and a friend of individual who lives with mental illness. And I would like to ask the council to reevaluate the decision that was made to keep Officer Deborah, I'm sorry, I'm a little nervous. He was found guilty for excessive force when someone who was mentally ill, there was called for help for her to be petitioned for care, for services. I want you to know that I don't believe all police officers are bad. I believe there are awesome police officers within our community, our first responders, but I believe in this situation that Officer Dupree did not act in the best interests of the community. We seek today to have the chance and opportunity for Officer Dupree's decision to be overturned, and that we can continue to provide the CIT, the crisis intervention training that we're providing to the police officers, so they would be better able to address our community. This will help them to learn more how to deal with individuals who are disabled in crisis. We couldn't save Michelle's life. We hope our efforts today and tomorrow will save the next one. Our city council members will be able to make that final decision. With this decision comes great responsibilities to the community to build trust and justice to be regained. We want to thank you for all of your efforts by hearing our voice and committing to the Mental Health Board and our Mental Health Police Squad, which we're very thankful for, and our Community Advisory Board that addresses the needs of the mentally ill through communication with the police, and our town hall meetings that you have been able to let us voice our concerns. But in honor and the spirit of Michelle's life, we ask that you readdress the demotion of Officer Dupree and end it with a termination of duty. The police motto shouldn't be, I need to make sure I go home to my family, but instead, I am here to make sure we all go home. This will help the community heal and trust and bring back trust to those who bring back trust to the community for those who provide protection and are here to serve. Most of all, it would help us be better to our neighbors, to each other within the community, if we can find this healing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Singleton. We'll have one final speaker before we move on with the formal agenda for today. Ms. Alyssa Cusot. Ms. Cusot, good to see you.
Yes, I am here in representation of my sister, Michelle Cusot. I am in support of my mother's request to have it put on the next meeting agenda so that we could address Mr. Percy Dupree's position. I would like to ask the board to remove him from his position. I think it's unfair that my sister is not here and alive with me, and she will forever be 50, and Mr. Dupree gets to go celebrate birthdays till he passes away. That is my request at this time.
Thank you very much, Ms. Cusot. Again, the City Council under the open meeting law is not able to respond to those comments because it's non-agendized items. We'll be having a discussion with the city manager about appropriate items for future agendas. We'll now move on to the regular agenda of the council. Would the city clerk please read the 24-hour paragraph?
The titles of the following ordinance and resolution numbers on the agenda were available to the public at least 24 hours prior to this council meeting and therefore may be read by title or agenda item only. Ordinances number G6086 through G6102, S42172 through S42190, and resolutions number 21379 through 21385.
Thank you very much. Do we have a motion on boards and commissions, Vice Mayor?
A motion to approve mayor's boards and commissions nominations.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Do we have a motion on City Council recommended boards and commission nominations?
Motion to approve city council boards and commissions nominations.
Second.
We have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Do we have members, citizen members to be sworn in? One gentleman? It's quality, not quantity today. It's good to see you. All right, I'll be right over there to swear you in. All right. Please raise your right hand. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution and laws of the state of Arizona, and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and defend them against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of the office of, fill in the blank, according to the best of my ability. So help me God. You're official. Thank you for your service. That's so nice. So come on back and the city council like to shake your hand. Thank you. All right, thanks for your advance for your service on the Levine Village Planning Committee. Next on the agenda will be liquor license applications. Vice Mayor, do we have an omnibus motion on proposed liquor license applications?
Motion to approve items 1 through 19, except the following items. Items 16 through 19 have been requested by the applicant to be continued to December 16, 2016. Item 15 has been withdrawn.
Second.
Correction, December 16, 2015. That'd make more sense.
And we have cards on these items. I just want to confirm that they are all moving in the direction of where the motion is. It appears so. In addition, we have cards on item 15, Al de Pascual and Rudolph Pena. That item is proposed to be withdrawn, just so you know. I think you both were opposed to that. And then on items 16 to 19, which are the proposed liquor licenses for Starbucks, those are proposed to be continued to a meeting 2 weeks from today. So Detective Brendel, Brent Kleinman, who are opposed, it's being, assuming the votes in the affirmative, it'll be continued for 2 weeks. We'll let you know. Okay, thank you. So that is the motion on liquor license applications. Did we have a second?
Second.
Do we have a second? Any comments by members of this council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item passes unanimously. We'll now move on to ordinances, resolutions, and new business. My recommendation, Vice Mayor, is that we do an omnibus on ordinances, resolutions, and new business, and then following that, we do an omnibus on zoning items, and then come back and hear the items. I believe on item 23, there obviously is a lot of individuals here wishing to speak on the item, so we'll come back and get that one after we do two omnibus motions. Vice Mayor.
Okay, motion to approve items 20 through 45, except the following items. Items 20F, 20K, 20L, 23, 24, 25, 27, 28, 29, 30, 38, 39, 54. Item 20X and 20W have been withdrawn. Items 25, 38, 39, and 45 are as corrected and excluding these items for public comment.
Second.
23, 25, 38, and 39.
Okay, now a second would be appropriate.
Yes.
Was there a second? There is a second to that motion. So that is covering both ordinance, resolution, new business, and that is covering planning and zoning items as well. Is that correct? Oh, it's a separate motion. I apologize. I think 54 should not be included with this motion. We should have to wait till the next motion. So let's exclude 54 from the motion.
All right, correction excludes 54 for this particular motion.
Okay, are there any questions on the omnibus motion? We have a motion, we have a second. Roll call.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Gates.
Yes.
Noakowski.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Waring. Williams.
Yes.
Valenzuela.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes, those items passed unanimously. Now I would request that we do an omnibus motion on the zoning items. Do we need a motion to take items out of order, Mr. Holm?
Yes, Mayor.
Okay, can we get a motion to take planning and zoning matters out of order? Is that appropriate? Do I have to say the specific number?
Yeah,
Make a
yes, it is,
motion.
Mayor.
Okay, please.
I make a motion to take planning and zoning out of order.
Second.
We have a motion, and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Vice Mayor, do we have a omnibus on planning and zoning matters?
Motion to approve items 46 through 70, except the following items: 60, 65, and 66. Item 56 is being continued to December 16, 2015, and item 67 is being continued to January 20th, 2016. Item 51 is as corrected and excluding these items for public comment. 56, 60, 62 through 64, 67, and 68, and also 54.
All right, that is the omnibus on planning and zoning matters. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second.
56 is to be continued.
Okay, why don't we hold out 56 to avoid any confusion from this item? So let's hold out 56 from the omnibus. Is that okay with the maker of the motion?
Yeah.
Okay, we're holding out 56 as well then. We have a motion. I think it just fell out. Sir, did you want to speak on 56? That's being held out. Yeah, we'll deal with it. Yeah, that's not part. Thank you. It's no problem. So we have a motion, an omnibus motion. We have a second. Any questions from members of this council? Roll call.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Gates.
Yes.
Noakowski.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Waring. Williams.
Yes.
Valenzuela.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes, those items pass unanimously. Now we'll go back in regular order for the agenda. I believe 20F is the next
Question.
item. Councilwoman Pastor, please.
Sorry,
No problem.
item 56 is supposed to be continued to December 16th, and that was part of the omnibus motion, and then it got taken out.
We have not disposed of 56 yet. I thought there was confusion on it.
Okay.
And that's why I just said, let's hold out. We'll do that later during regular planning and zoning matters. Unless you want to do it now?
I want to do it now.
Councilman Pastor, because we took out that order, it's appropriate to do so. So you want to make a motion on 56, please do so.
So I make a motion to continue item 56 to December 16th, 2015.
We have a motion to continue. We have a second?
Second.
Either Brett Kleinman or Ellen Bilbray. Brett, you're in favor of the item. Ellen, you're opposed to the item. Are either of you in opposition or would like to speak only on the continuance, not to the substantive item? Okay. Any comments by members of this council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item is continued to December 16th. Now we'll go back to regular order. The next item on the agenda is item 20F. This has to do with a payment ordinance to the National Association of Housing and Redevelopment Officials for annual membership. Vice Mayor, do you have a motion on 20F?
Motion to approve item 20F.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Do we have any cards on the item? Councilman Waring, do you have any comments on that? Just a vote, roll call.
DeCiccio.
No.
Gallego.
Yes.
Gates.
No.
Noakowski. Pastor.
Yes.
Waring. Williams.
Yes.
Valenzuela.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes, that item passes on a 6-3 vote. Next item is 20K, which is to 3M Company for the purchase of a 3M automated license plate reader system. Do we have a motion on 20K, Vice Mayor?
Motion to approve item 20K.
Second.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Any comments on that item? Roll call.
DeCiccio.
No.
Gallego.
Yes.
Gates.
No.
Noakowski.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Waring. Williams.
Yes.
Valenzuela.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes, that item passes on a 6-3 vote. 20L is the next item. It is a payment ordinance for odor control devices in various city facilities. Vice Mayor, do you have a motion on 20L?
Motion to approve item 20L.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any comments on that item? Roll call.
DeCiccio.
No.
Gallego.
Yes.
Gates.
No.
Nowakowski.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Waring. Williams.
Yes.
Valenzuela.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes, the item passes on a 6-3 vote. Next item, I believe, is it 22, Vice Mayor? I apologize. What is the next item?
23.
23 is the next item? Okay, so 23 is the next item. 23 is the item, it's a biannual item in which we give representatives of city employee representative organizations the opportunity to comment to the mayor and council in advance of beginning labor negotiations with our employee organizations. I have 7 or 8 cards. Each speaker will have up to 2 minutes. If anyone else wishes to speak on this item, please make sure you fill out a yellow card and get it to our city clerk, and you'll have the opportunity to speak. The first. Okay, who's speaking on behalf of? Okay, oh, no problem. Okay. I apologize. For item 23, there will be cards separate and apart from the opportunity for official representatives of the units to give their presentation. Unit 1 will be the first employee organization to make the presentation. As I was reminded, I think in conversations with my staff, an agreement was made to give each organization, each unit, up to 10 minutes to provide their argument, their case, if you will, before the City Council. After each of the labor organizations have had the opportunity to present their information, then we'll take the cards that we have. Is there a representative of Unit 1 that is here to provide that? Please, good to see you. Please come forward, and you'll have up to 10 minutes, divided up as any way you'd like for the official representatives of Unit 1. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mayor, council members. My name is Jennifer Wozniak. I work for the Laborers International Union of North America, Local 777. I believe I have 10 minutes. I think I have 4 minutes prepared, so it'll be pretty brief. I represent the people that work in the city streets. They repair the potholes. They repair the streets so that our public safety vehicles can drive to get to where they need to go. I represent the garbage truck drivers in Public Works who also use those same city streets, and they pick up the recycling, green organics, garbage from all city households throughout the city of Phoenix, and the parks employees who maintain our parks and clean our parks and are dedicated employees. We have a few things that we want to talk about today, and again, I am extremely brief. One, since 2008, every single person that we represent has taken home the same amount of money, if not less. Less because they're taking pay cuts from their 2008 salary. LIUNA represents city workers in Chicago, Los Angeles, San Francisco. I'm at 2 of those tables. Each of those cities has seen restoration of concessions and modest CPI and COLA increases in that time. It will be 10 years, 1 decade at the end of this contract. We are asking to have all concessions, all pay cuts that the people I represent that make $13.68 an hour at the bottom level, just as a reminder, they're still taking pay cuts off of that base salary. We're asking for those cuts to stop, to cease, to restore the concessions that they have now lasted 8 years and not continue another 2 years into a decade. We understand the financial challenges as a city. We have worked with the city. Time and time again, we have been there and stepped up and said, do you need our help? Do you need our help? Since 2008, it's 2015 today, we've helped. We've been there. We've taken the cuts, but we've worked with less people. We've worked hard. We have never decreased the work that we have put out to the community. The citizens and the residents of this city have seen the same exact services they saw in 2008. And we didn't complain, we didn't gripe. We haven't been there to do that. So we're asking for the concessions to be restored. But we aren't just asking for that, and that's why I brought my handy notes so that I have a little cheat sheet here. We're asking to have the city allow more flexibility in hiring practices, improve scheduling for a better sense of when they serve the public, so that maybe when the folks are out repairing the potholes, it's not at 4 in the morning, but it's during the middle of the day. We're also asking for a new section on public outreach and safety, training, bloodborne pathogens, threat identifications, which are extremely important right now, appropriate techniques to de-escalate confrontations in the field. Everyone I represent is in the field, and proper handling of biohazards. And then we didn't stop there, because I always like to bring something new forward to all of you, which I have not spoken about. 2 programs for apprentices, an apprentice gardener position. So those folks would be in a program for 2 years that would work at the university level for classwork in horticultural programs and field for IDENA plants, succulents, the trees. There are many, many trees. I cannot remember the exact number, but I know that Parks has gone over that with me. There are thousands of trees within this city. We're also asking for a commercial driver's license program. Do you want to stop? Okay. So that we can train garbage truck drivers, those in our streets, they'll be certified for 1 year. Again, a program that deals with both classroom setting and also field work, so that we have the best trained people in the field serving the community and the citizens of this city. Those are things that are new ideas that we're bringing forward that we have not brought forward before, but we think they're an advantage. They continue to place Phoenix above other cities in the Pacific Southwest and throughout the country, quite frankly. And at that, I conclude, and I will lend my time.
All right, thank you very much for your passionate statement, but also your brevity. If you need more at the end, if you decide, yeah, I want to add something, feel free. President Louis Schmidt, representing Unit 2, is next, or did you want a clicker?
Yes, please.
Do you have a PowerPoint presentation? Is someone ready to help with that? Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council, and all the public servants here and all the citizens here. My name is Louis Schmidt. I'm the proud president of ASME Local 2384, and we are the blue-collar employees of the City of Phoenix. ASME is in public service. That's what we've done, that's what we do, that's what we continue to do. We've got a presentation here, so I'll walk the City Council through this and our members in the public through this.
Thank you.
In order to provide public service, and this is right here at our office, just earlier this year, as you can see, you have a police vehicle there and some fire vehicles there. It takes skills, teamwork to maintain police and fire vehicles and equipment. As you can see, there's our helicopter mechanics, our fire mechanics, and our police helicopter mechanics. It's skilled labor that maintains these vehicles to make sure that when the officers are there at night, wherever they're in need, that they can rely on the safe transportation. When there's a mountain rescue, the firefighters don't have to worry about whether or not the equipment's going to work or not, because the skilled labor of Unit 2 makes sure that equipment functions 24/7. In order for any calls to go out, it takes our dispatchers from Unit 3. Their quick action is what's needed in order for that firefighter, for the police officer to get the calls that they need. The quick response time requires immediate action from our dispatchers, and both in police and fire from Unit 3. It takes individuals from our community to become armed detention officers. Yes, armed detention officers. That is public safety too, and that is under our Unit 3 ASME sisters and brothers under that local. As you can see, they're being sworn in, and I guarantee you, if you look at their uniform and you look at any of these officers here, there is no difference between their uniform, just a slight little patch that says detention officer. But these employees provide public safety to the community. They keep the community safe as well. They have guns, and they put their lives at risk too. But there are many more critical services that our communities depend on. That's provided by other talented, skilled individuals who have vested interest to perform and to be held accountable at high standards for the success of our city. They include the public employees from our water department. This is the Palo Verde nuclear power plant. Many of you probably didn't even know that without the dedicated work of the employees in the wastewater treatment plants, if they didn't do their work correctly, the water would not get to the cooling towers to keep our reactors cool. But again, this is work that is done by our dedicated employees. That is public safety, very critical work as well. Thank you for shaking your head and agreeing, Councilwoman Williams. Here we go, our traffic signal technicians. Their critical work, they make sure that the traffic flows safely, that when the fire police vehicles are going through these intersections, that the traffic signals, help them get through these safely. And it's dedicated employees like this that keep the community safe. Whether it's graffiti busters, whether it's a trash pickup from our members in Laguna, these trucks can't go out there unless our skilled mechanics, get them fixed. We have a very competitive process with trash collection, but it's because of the skilled labor that the employees provide that these vehicles serve our citizens every day, even on holidays. Water services. Yeah, it looks like he's having fun, but yeah, he's drenched in water. He's in a trench, because again, we provide. Look at the storm damage that we recently had. Many people just chose to stay home, but our public employees still went out there, still served the public. No matter what they do, our employees continue to serve. And they provide clean and clear, sewer services, no matter what the condition is. Safe drinking water. Over 500 million gallons of water are produced every day by the City of Phoenix employees. Our employees ensure that when you drink it, when your family drinks out of these faucets, it's clean water that's coming out. Because of the dedicated work that they do, our lives, our children, everybody depends on the water that our city employees clean and produce every day. And this is from the recent storm damage. We saw the city council, the mayor and the city council members talking about the reaction from our fire, police, and our public employees, whether they were in parks or streets or water. Employees provided the quick service that the public needed. It was very hectic with the storm damage in different sections, even in South Phoenix. But our public employees continue to serve no matter what. And there was I think it was over 1,200 911 calls that went out just in a 2-hour period. And the dedicated employees at the 911 dispatch and fire are the ones who took these calls. But in order to truly call Phoenix the best-run city in the world, we must follow the example of other cities that we have compared ourselves to by following their lead by example and embrace our public employees. Like our sister from Iuna just said, that have given increases to their employees. Los Angeles, San Diego. I'm not going to read those, you guys can see them on your own. But as you can see, Phoenix is the only city in the nation, the 6th largest city in the nation that is having this, I don't even know, I don't know what kind of problem you guys want to call it, but you guys are not prioritizing the service providers that the city has. And good old Detroit. We all keep hearing a couple of council members talk about how bad Detroit was. We just heard that just recently. But as you can see, Detroit, 5% increase and 2.5% increase each year until 2018. City of Phoenix provide crucial quality service, which the public has given 93% approval rating. So just get this, ladies and gentlemen, through all the tough times that we have been through, the citizens still get the service, the quality service from all the public employees, and there's still 93% approval rating. But massive employee cuts and concessions were imposed in order for the City of Phoenix to provide tax breaks and incentives for the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl got to come into Phoenix without paying any type of rental fees, and the city will tell you, well, they're bringing revenue in. But when we just give them free, the NFL is a multi-billion-dollar corporation, and for them to have access to our services, to our facilities without paying a dime, that's not right. For TransDev, that's the foreign company that operates our bus systems. Some of the council members believe that outsourcing everything is great, but as you can see, when you outsource, these employees are going to strike. They're going to strike, and the sad thing here is that for the next 5 years, these employees this corporation has guaranteed a 3% increase for their employees. So we find money for private contractors, but we're not finding solutions for our public service providers. And the good old hotel at 340 North 3rd Street, $28 million has been lost to date by this hotel. $28 million that will not go to help the service providers or keep our community centers open. And again, this item's on the agenda, and I think it might be even 28 as well, 28 or 27 for today. And the ability to give away $19 million earlier this year for the city of Mesa. It was called the Loan Forgive. It was a loan that was forgiven by the city council. And then, of course, is the city's priority to find the Phoenix Suns a new arena? Is that the priority for tax money? No, this is a multi-million-dollar corporation who should not be using taxpayer funds for their for-profit business. Mr. Dick Bowers, this is the Herberger Theater in Phoenix. Dick Bowers was the interim city manager for the city of Glendale. He was pulling over $200,000 a year there. And at the same time, he's a president of his own consulting firm, but yet he's the CEO for this firm, for the Herberger Theater, and he's pulling over 6 figures. So how can he be in all places at once, and he's running a city facility, a taxpayer-operated facility? How can he do all this at once? You know, the city needs to be efficient in how we outsource, and this is just another example of where we need to tighten our belt. As we just saw the story in today's Arizona Republic with Stephen Banta, I'm sorry for my misspelling on that, Stephen Banta. That was, the taxpayers' money that was not accounted for. You know, again, this is by taxpayers' money. He just got a $25,000 bonus from taxpayers' money, and yet we have council members who attack the employees and the public service providers because they feel that, a COLA is too much to ask for. That's just not right. Again, we need more accountability on contracts. That's what they are paid for, by taxpayer funds. So we don't have to balance the budget on the backs of these employees again, year after year. Enough is enough. This has to stop. The sixth largest city in the nation struggles to become a competitive employer. More critical service rumored as the saga continues. Where do we begin? 2010, the labor groups, we all took a 3.2 wage cut and concessions to balance the budget because there was a $277 million shortfall. Labor groups were forced to give up 3.2 wage and concessions to balance the budget. Whoop, that's a repeat, sorry. To date, we have the smallest government in over 40 years. We continue to do more with less. As you know, the last city manager, Cavazos, got a $75,000 pay raise while everybody was taking concessions without public comment, and then he leaves city in debt and retires. Promises kept, promises made, promises kept. Sorry for that. The council, as we know, we gave up these concessions, and they were supposed to come back. They never came back. We've been told to buy Phoenix. Buy Phoenix is a program that's adopted where we encourage the employees to buy Phoenix, spend in Phoenix to help the revenue. But for what? We keep doing this, but we need our leadership to step up and help us out. They're not doing their due justice. We saw the water bill in 2010. The finances are strong, but then once again, we keep coming to negotiations. We see this in the newsletters, in our mailers, and our water bills, saying how strong the city is. And then it comes time for negotiations, and once again, we have a budget shortfall. This is a broken record that keeps repeating itself, that every city, every public servant is tired of. We keep having good years when we're not in negotiations, and at the start of negotiations, we find a deficit that just comes out of, we get the sky's falling mentality. As you saw last time, we were at impasse. We all came to the city council because there was no agreements. This was the first time that this has happened in the city of Phoenix. Unpaid holidays. These are the unpaid holidays that public servants are not being paid for. And the sad thing is that even Veterans Day, because of the furloughs and the unpaid holidays that they're taking, the city brags about, we want to hire more veterans. But how disrespectful is this, for our veterans who come to the city and have to take, unpaid holidays? Total furlough hours between both units 2 and 3. 782,000 hours of unpaid furlough hours that have been taken by these employees. You probably can't see this. If you can increase this a little bit more, this is an employee's paycheck for 2 week total. And if you look at it, it was just last week. It's for $490-something for 2 weeks for a brand new city employee. Yeah, you shake your head, young lady, and that's true. A brand new city employee, this is what his take-home pay is. How can we survive on that? This is below the poverty rate. Again, like Jennifer said, there has been the consumer price index has been, that the city gets all the time to do their budgets. It does show that there's an increase of cost. There is an increase of cost every year. It does not cost any less to provide for our families, to pay for our bills, to live in Phoenix. It does not cost any less. The consumer price index continues to climb. It has not flatlined. And again, the employees have taken cuts, but yet the city keeps getting the 93% approval rating. Other municipalities are giving in the valley are giving their employees raises. The city of Glendale, who we keep seeing is in a bad financial situation, gave their employees the week of Christmas off paid last year. So even Glendale, who everybody looks at as having a bad economy or bad deficits, is taking care of the employees. Buckeye, 14%. Goodyear, 2.5%. But like our sister from Laguna said, we need safe working conditions. And what we've had, because we've had so much employees have been cut from the city, we have employees who've been transported to the hospital because there's no relief. There's no relief on some of these water crews at night. They've been working 14, 15, 16 hours in the middle of July, August, September, and who've been transported by our brothers from fire to the hospital. We had an employee from Streets get hit in Albuquerque. We had one from one of the graffiti busters in North Phoenix get hit. This needs to stop. We need safe working conditions. We need safe working conditions. We need adequate staffing levels. We can't cut our way to a solution, which is what some of the council members think. They think cut, but that is not the solution. All the cutting only hurts our citizens because that's less service that gets provided to them. Concessions must end. You know, the citizens just approved the transportation tax on Prop 104 because they do value public services. What we need is the council to be transparent and not fear-mongering. This is an example of a librarian to make $102,000 a year and to retire. To me, there's no librarian in the city of Phoenix that's this young who can retire. I think the council may have been mixed up because they're the only ones who have to work one term to get a pension, while these dedicated city employees have to work, you know, to the rule of 87 now. 93%. We keep hearing about 93%. But you know what? The 93% is also an ironic number because that is when we polled the city employees, 93% have a distrust of our leadership and, you know, from the council. And we need better from you guys. The citizens are satisfied with the service, but you must take care of your service providers. And so what I will do is I will just wrap it up with this quick little speech, Mayor. Thank you for your patience. Mayor, members of the council, thank you for this opportunity to speak. In the past year, I have come here with props. I have come here dressed up in costumes. I have come here to argue, plead, debate, and ask for the treatment of our employees by this council. And understand, when I say our employees, I am speaking about city employees in all unions and associations, both dues-paying and non-paying members. Today, I am back again. However, this time is to discuss where we have been driven to. For the past 6 years, as demonstrated by my presentation, the unions have been more than willing to assist in tough times. At first, it was willingly, as we truly believe the political speak of being a family. However, when we saw that this board had no problem lying to the Phoenix employees, our willingness turned to frustration and then to anger. The city went from financially strong to suddenly a $39 million shortfall, coincidentally prior to the 2014 negotiation. Of course, they supported pay raises for the city manager during that time, but public opinion already judged how great that was. So now as we approach the 2016 negotiation session, we already know where we're headed. We will continue the charade that the city is bargaining in good faith. We will also be sure to put our best foot forward as well. And we will both plan to be here again in May and June, debating why city employees are not worthy of praise of council members. And when we inform you about low morale, what do we get in return? Morale is self-generated. At this point, it is about morale of city employees. For what we have been dealing with in the past 6 years, if you are unable to see the low morale of our employees, then you are either blind or happily lying to yourselves. When an employee cannot afford to feed their family, keep a roof over his or her head, make sure their kids have clothes because the pay keeps getting reduced by the employer, how do you expect that employee to have high morale? You expect employees to have high morale when they are forced to work 2 jobs? And why do you have to work these 2 jobs? Because some politician who gets to work 10 months out of the year decided that employees are overpaid, are receiving too many benefits, are abusing taxpayer money? Really? Go to South Phoenix, go to Maryville, go to these service centers, and you show me where we're hiding the money. Show me the BMWs, the Mercedes, and the Land Rovers. You're not going to see them. As we move forward, I have come to realize that this council truly believes in this San Suu art of war. Divide and conquer. The belief of the members of this council, to paraphrase George Orwell, is that all employees are treated equally, but some are more equal than others. With all due respect to our brothers in PD and fire, the members of this council seem to believe that some employees are better by virtue of their jobs. So let me cut to the chase. The council speaks about the need to have extra police officers. You can have 5,000, 10,000. You can even have one officer for every City of Phoenix every City of Phoenix citizen. But those officers are not doing anything for the citizens without the Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 3 employees, the 911 operator, the streets operator who keeps the streets safe, everybody, without the tower climber from Unit 2 who makes sure that the communication systems are operating functionally 24/7. It takes a combined effort to keep the city running. Just as it does with our skilled mechanics to make sure that these vehicles can respond. I pointed out the customer satisfaction survey indicated 93% satisfaction rate with the city services. While the mayor and council, city manager are all patting themselves on the back, let me point out some interesting items about 93%. For some employees, 93% and a not met PM may result in a not met PMG or in some cases termination. 93% also represents the percentage of city employees, both dues paying and non-paying, that believe that the mayor and city council manager are not trustworthy. The reason for this is that the council has for the last 6 years chosen to be politicians first as opposed to being stewards of the citizens of Phoenix. What's the difference, you ask? A politician kisses babies, and a politician is someone who kisses babies for votes while trying to think of ways to steal the baby's candy. A steward is someone who realizes what they have to do that is best in order to generate revenue and improve the way of life for all citizens, even the risk of making unpopular decisions. Politicians are people who run to the unions promising the moon and the sun for an endorsement, but suddenly forget that support when it's negotiation time. If a man tells you he loves America, yet he hates labor, he is a liar. If a man tells you he trusts America, yet fears labor, he is a fool. Abraham Lincoln said that. Before I conclude, let me tell you a little joke that explains this board's actions. You have a unionized City of Phoenix employee, a member of Public Safety Union, and a city council member sitting at the table. In the middle of the table, there's a plate full of a dozen cookies. The council member reaches across the table, grabs 11 of the cookies, looks at the public safety member and says, "Look out for that union guy. He wants a piece of your cookie." In closing, regarding this next negotiation session, let me be blunt. It has often been said that the most dangerous people are those who have nothing to lose. Mayor, members of the city council, the employees of the City of Phoenix have nothing more to lose. And to the public, we will never abandon you. We will have never given up on you, and we will still be able to provide service no matter what this council does. Thank you.
I thank you very much, President Schmidt. We had asked, and I believe that each of the representative labor groups had agreed to keep it to 10 minutes. Obviously, that was significantly longer than 10 minutes, but it's up to you whether you want to follow that or not. That was what our request was, and again, I thought that was agreed upon, but if you want to go longer, I certainly won't cut you off. This is an important time in our biannual labor agreements. Ms. Deborah Novak-Scott is next, representing Unit 3. Good to see you.
Good afternoon. My name is Deborah Novak-Scott. I'm the Vice President of AFSCME Local 2960, representing Unit 3 employees. I thought it was working. Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Deborah Novak-Scott, Vice President of AFSCME Local 2960, representing Unit 3 employees in the City of Phoenix. As Luis had shown in the PowerPoint presentation, yes, we do have quite a few Unit 3 employees in public safety. We have Unit 3 employees in almost every department in this city. So the chances of a citizen coming into some kind of contact with a Unit 3 employee when they're getting their needs met is probably going to be close to 100%. Unit 3 employees are now in their 6th year of concessions. To help the city out during the deficit, as was shown in the PowerPoint presentation of $277 million in 2010, and to save positions to serve the public, we agreed to concessions. Those concessions never ended. In 2010 to 12 MOU, we gave up 3.2% of our total wage package. What that equated to for each Unit 3 employee was they took 48 hours or 6 days each of furlough each year of the contract. So at the end of the 2010-2012 MOU, they had taken 96 hours unpaid leave or 12 days off without pay. They also endured a 1% wage reduction. Deferred compensation from the city was suspended. Vacation buyback was suspended. The comp time conversion, which is their overtime they earn, and instead of being paid for it, they put it in a comp time bank to use later as leave, that was suspended. The 12-hour rule for overtime was suspended. So if they came in within 12 hours of their previous shift, they didn't get additional overtime. They had to work over the 40 hours in a week to qualify. Linguistic pay, which actually saves the city money versus going to a third party, was reduced by 50%. 2012 to 2014 MOU, we sat down with the city. The language in our 2010-2012 MOU said that all concessions would be restored. We even went to PERB over this. Previous city manager said, oh, it was a misunderstanding. City only restored half the concessions, or 1.6% that contract. That meant the Unit 3 employees received back 7/10 of the 1% wage decrease they took. Furloughs were reduced from 48 hours to 24 hours, or 3 days each year, but they still at that end of that contract took 48 hours furlough or 6 full shifts off without pay. Their vacation buyback was restored from twice a year to only 1 time a year, but the other benefits continued to be suspended from 2010. This last contract, 2014 to 2016, the city wanted to continue the 2012 to 14 concessions, and they wanted more. Now Unit 3 employees are doing more furloughs. Last year we did 48 hours or 6 days. This year we're doing 48 hours. We're taking additional wage decreases of 1.3% over the term of the contract. 0.65 last year, 0.65 this year. Vacation buybacks completely been suspended again, and none of the other suspended benefits were ever restored. In summary, Unit 3 employees have sustained a 1.6% decrease in wages across the board since 2010. They've had 248 hours, or 31 full days of furlough since 2010. In money terms, 48 hours of furlough a year is a 2.3% wage decrease. With the additional holiday furlough this year, they're now having 2.7% decrease in pay, based on working 2,080 hours in a year. The cost of living, the consumer price index, as Luis and Jennifer pointed out, have increased since 2010. So our employees are making less money than they did 6 years ago, and their purchasing power is down. Currently, Tier 2 employees pay 15.5% or more towards their pension. In January, Tier 2 and the new Tier 3 employees will pay 11% of their pay toward their pension, comparable to what the county and state require. These employees, though, also have to live with these concessions. This causes a problem for the city to attract and retain new personnel. Other employers are not dealing with these concessions. The city of Phoenix is. Employees have left the city. They've told us that they plan to leave the city because they cannot survive. You saw a paycheck that Louise showed in the PowerPoint. They cannot survive paying 11% pension and doing all these concessions. Their net pay isn't enough to survive on. Unit 3 lost over 200 positions between July 2012 and October 2015. That means not only are these people getting paid less, these employees are doing more work with less staff to service the public at the same level they were in 2010. We ask the concessions be restored. We're also asking the Unit 3 employees receive a wage increase. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Novak. Scott, thanks for all the representative of our labor organizations for being here and that excellent testimony. The next 2 units will be Phoenix Law Enforcement Association and United Phoenix Firefighters. I'm not sure if there was agreement. Who goes first?
We're going together.
You're together. Okay, so you got a total of 20 minutes between P.J. Dean representing United Phoenix Firefighters and Will Buvidas representing Phoenix Law Enforcement Association. I'll let you handle how you split the time. Good to see you.
Which does which? Do we know? I don't know. I think that goes forward. I know that one of those. I don't think I did it. The one on the right. There you go. Okay, good. Mayor Stanton, members of the council, my name is P.J. Dean, and I'm a fire captain with the City of Phoenix. I'm also the communications director for the United Phoenix Firefighters Association, Local 493. Presenting jointly with me today is Phoenix Police Officer Will Buvidas, who is also the treasurer and chief contract negotiator for the Phoenix Law Enforcement Association. Officer Buvidas and I would like to thank the mayor and the council for the opportunity to speak before you today regarding this very important topic. We stand before you united in representation of the nearly 4,500 sworn police officers and firefighters who are your first responders in Phoenix. To begin, we're happy to say that there is recently a lot of good news concerning our city. The past several years have presented numerous seemingly insurmountable challenges to Phoenix. The issues of a historical recession, major leadership changes, a slashed general fund, and mass exodus of employees are just to name a few. Any one of these issues alone could have proven catastrophic to a city like Phoenix, yet we seem to have all of them at once. These were some of the toughest times in our history, but rather than focus on the negative aspects of the challenges we faced, it's important to recognize what we did to overcome them. Your first responders did what we always do in emergencies: create an action to overcome a problem. We, along with the other employees of the city, dug deep. We made personal sacrifices, worked harder, longer, and more creatively so that we could continually serve the public effectively despite less money and resources to work with. Operating budgets, staffing levels, paychecks all declined, but our customer service and our standing within the community did not. As a result of this can-do attitude by the employees and the collective efforts of our city, Phoenix, like its mythical namesake, arose triumphantly from the ashes of the Great Recession, a better and stronger city who had proven by its actions that together we can accomplish anything. As we emerge from the darkness of the past, we are met with many great things, such as increased revenues, positive economic indicators for our city and state, along with a return to the practice of hiring personnel lost through attrition. And with these headlines, you'll see just a few examples of that, where Arizona was recently ranked #1 in the nation for job growth by Forbes magazine. Unbelievable positive news that inevitably will have an effect on Phoenix. Phoenix in itself has had good financial news. Just last summer reported higher revenues, lower expenditures, and actually showed a $25 million surplus.
Yes, everybody, I'm Will Buvadas from the Phoenix Law Enforcement Association. I have the proud honor of representing these men and women of the Phoenix Police Department. Also behind us, you know, is Sean Matson, the president of PPSLA, the Sergeants and Lieutenant Group. Since they are a meet and discuss group, they are unable to present with us today. He wanted to come to show that he is also united with us on this message. Let me continue. This is all great news, but there's still more work to be done. As you know, first responders in Phoenix have endured 6 years worth of pay cuts and furloughs over the past 3 contracts as Phoenix emerges from one of the most profound fiscal crises in recent memory. As proud stakeholders of Phoenix, it was our honor and obligation to share in the sacrifices that were necessary to overcome the monetary challenges that the city faced. The financial health of the city of Phoenix has corrected, but regrettably, the sacrifices that these brave men and women have made have not been corrected. By its own projections, Phoenix is posed to experience year-over-year revenue growth through 2020. The concept of the city that is making more, yet paying its employees less, gives us great concern that Phoenix would rapidly lose competitive ground in the job market when compared to surrounding cities who have also experiencing similar, if not identical, financial challenges. It is beginning to appear that cuts to employee pay packages now represent the path of least resistance when attempting to facilitate a balanced budget. These kinds of practices are perfectly understandable in times of fiscal crisis, but confounding in our current state of affairs. As elected officials, you guys, the mayor and council, represent the will of the people to make decisions that will enable Phoenix to benefit as a whole. Every person on this council is our trusted safety net of discretion for what is right. We come to you today not only to illustrate the primary and secondary consequences of continued pay cuts to first responders, but also to ask for your support in helping us obtain a fair contract for the public safety employees of Phoenix. Facts: first responders has withstood 6 years of pay cuts, furloughs, benefit reductions, and increase to employee costs. The amount of the employee concessions since 2010 are at 4.1% of total pay. Unfortunately, these concessions go way beyond, or well beyond, what is contained in the contracts. When you take into account the concessions coupled with the increase to pension obligations and the increases to inflation, the total amount of reduction to our public safety's purchasing power is closer to 18%. It's actually right at 17.86%. That is an almost 18% loss in revenue that we would take home and support our families. This also does not include increases that we have borne out of our pockets to health care and other costs that have occurred along the last 6 years. These pay cuts represent real money for real families and has created a real sacrifice for these hardworking men and women of public safety.
We're here to ask you for support for black and brown people who are being murdered by the Phoenix Police Department. Rape, detention, deportation. We're done. We need your leadership. Phoenix Police Department needs to come here and answer those questions.
Ma'am, thank you very much. We'll have an opportunity for citizen comment at the end of the meeting.
1 year ago. No answers, no justice, nothing. We demand answers. ASU students get police call for
Thank you very much.
for no reason, but Remain Brisbane was killed. We demand answers.
You will have an opportunity to testify at the end of the meeting as part of the request.
Compliance, your silence makes you an accomplice.
Mayor?
Justice for Remain!
Mayor?
Justice for Remain!
All right.
There's nothing to thank these individuals for. These people are belligerent, they're anti-police, and they are, as far as I'm concerned, it's unacceptable this type of behavior that these individuals are exhibiting.
Thank you for coming.
Council. There's nothing to thank these people for. And it's unacceptable that they are willing to drown out other people who are willing to speak.
Councilman, there.
Mayor, they need to be ejected out of that room.
Councilman, I appreciate your advice.
They need to be ejected, Mayor. They're not allowed to disrupt other people who have a fundamental First Amendment right to speak.
Councilman, thank you for your advice. Okay, now we'll proceed back to regular order, and we'll make sure that no time was taken away from our two leaders of Phoenix Law Enforcement and United Phoenix Firefighters. Please continue. I apologize for that interruption.
Thank you, Mayor. As I was saying, we have accepted these sacrifices because of the city's financial crisis. But make no mistake, these pay cuts, along with the increases to pension cost for our families and rising inflation, along with rising health care costs, have created severe financial hardships in the houses of Phoenix police officers and Phoenix firefighters. Now, with the city's revenue recovered, with the city's economy growing again, we believe it is time for these sacrifices to end by having these pay cuts restored. If these cuts are continued, Phoenix will have a difficult time remaining competitor as the employer of choice with consecutive years of reduced pay, as surrounding cities have started to give out raises over the past few years. Tempe, as you see on the slide, is just one example of a surrounding municipality who has consistently given out raises over the past few years. Tempe employees have received pay raises for the last 3 years. This means that the Tempe employee who did make financial sacrifices at the bottom of the recession, just like Phoenix employees did, have only had to have those concessions for half the time. They only had concessions for 3 years, and now we're on 3 years of pay raises, while my men and women and the men and women of the fire department have now endured 6 years of pay cut. This is despite the fact that Tempe is experiencing the same financial challenges and the same increased public safety pension cost that Phoenix is. Another example is Dallas. Dallas is having a huge problem because they are not competitive with pay or pension in the Dallas area. There's been a large departure of experienced firefighters and police officers who left Dallas to go to the smaller surrounding suburbs. This scenario has been replicated all over the nation due to lagging pay in the major cities. It is a truly unfortunate circumstance, but if these men and women are forced to make a choice between their employers and their families, can you really blame the first responders of Dallas for choosing their families? Dallas Firefighters Association Vice President Stephen Klempner says it best. We will take pride in being public servants and helping the public, but when it's all said and done, you still have to feed the kids and pay the mortgage. With a continued disparity in pay between Phoenix and its surrounding cities, it will only be a matter of time before this kind of problem manifests itself here. In public safety, first responders experience is an absolute invaluable trait. First responders with 5, 6, 7 years of service represent one of our most crucial demographics for service delivery. These personnel carry perhaps the most water for our respective organizations, and to lose those seasoned and fully trained responders to other cities would create a void that would be difficult for both departments to fill. In our experience, with public safety in Phoenix, we have seen morale levels at extreme highs and extreme lows. We know and can appreciate the differences between the two. Low morale will quickly add toxicity to any organization, hamper its effectiveness, and present safety issues. Fortunately, the fire and police departments have the ability to be resilient towards low morale, but that only lasts for so long. Historic levels of high morale are what propel our agencies into the world-class organizations they are today. High levels of morale are a requirement to maintain and build upon our accomplishments to serve the citizens of Phoenix in the future.
It has been said that pride is the fuel of human accomplishment, and when employees feel valued, the organizations they work for fire on all cylinders. The forthcoming round of contract negotiations will give the city an opportunity to not only express to its employees the level at which they are valued, but also demonstrate to our community that we are indeed a city that is well managed. A fair contract will benefit everyone in this room and the city of Phoenix as a whole. Your first responders in Phoenix do so much more than just arrest criminals and put out fires. We protect our city with world-class, comprehensive emergency services for any situation that may arise. Year for year, the Phoenix area has expanded in size and the frequency and intensity of emergencies have escalated. In the face of increased workloads, staffing shortages, budget reductions, first responders have been able to maintain or improve service delivery despite earning less for the past 6 years. We fully acknowledge the challenges pension employer contributions present to the financial picture of Phoenix. Your first responders have been committed to do our part to help the funding of our pensions with reductions in benefits, increased employee contributions, and creating a self-imposed, comprehensive pension reform plan for the public safety retirement system. If implemented, this reform will bring the PSPRS funding level up to 75% in 14 years. I want to repeat that, 75% in 14 years. In the course of that time, this would greatly reduce the amount of employer contributions that Phoenix is required to make to our pensions. Sadly, this reform plan has met more obstacles than it should have, and it remains in limbo at the state legislature. Rather than sit by idly and observe, first responders have done our fair share to proactively and effectively address the issues within our pension system. To put it bluntly, we cannot be expected to be continually penalized with reductions in pay for pension issues that are outside of our control, especially as surrounding cities who make the same pension contributions as Phoenix consistently give their employees more. We are proud to say that we have done our part and then some in the course of our shared sacrifice to support Phoenix during its darkest financial days. We have never turned our back on Phoenix. We've either supported or opposed propositions for the benefit of Phoenix and have consistently done more with less as we serve our city. Campaign signs and social media posts frequently mention endorsements by or support of first responders. But now comes what we would consider to be the greatest and most genuine show of support for your first responders. In closing, the time has come for city leadership to protect its protectors from any further reductions in pay. Should Phoenix decide to continue its continued trend of pay cuts and furloughs to its first responders, this would signify where an approach usually reserved for financial crises now becomes standard practice. We are hopeful that our presentation has clearly identified the issues and pitfalls associated with continuing the dangerous act of balancing the city's budget on the backs of its employees. It is our most sincere and humble request that the leadership of Phoenix choose the 2016-17 Memorandum of Understandings as an opportunity to do what's right for its first responders. A fair contract would keep Phoenix on the map of excellence as a world-class city in which to work and live in. On behalf of the 4,500 first responders of Phoenix, we would like to thank Mayor Stanton and the council for the opportunity to share with you a few of our thoughts and concerns. We are hopeful that this round of contract negotiations leads to a fair and equitable agreement for all parties involved. This would conclude our presentation. We again thank you for your time, and we'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
All right, thank you very much for your presentation. All right, thank you for your presentation. Are there any questions, member of the council? Sean Matson, did you want to provide any comments? I know now, I think we've now received the official commentary from the representatives of the 5 organizations representing employees of the city of Phoenix. Sean, it's a slightly different type of organization, but you do have a card, and it is appropriate, I think, for the public now to comment on what they've heard here today. So is that okay? Okay, good.
Yes, it is, Mayor.
So I have cards from Sean Matson, representing Sergeant Lieutenants, Jason Stokes, representing Aspetia, Ken Crane, who's president of PLE, and an army of people who have donated their time to you, President Crane. So you'll have virtually unlimited time. Please use good discretion. Mr. Matson, good to see you.
Good to see you, Mayor. Mayor, members of council, thank you for the opportunity to speak. As has been mentioned a couple of times, first, I'm Sean Matson. I'm president of the Phoenix Police Sergeants Lieutenants Association. As been mentioned a couple of times, the council does not control officially directly our contract because we're part of the meet and discuss groups. It goes directly to the city manager. I'm here in support, though, of my fellow co-workers of the city of Phoenix, particularly the public safety group. Employers are judged how they treat their resources, and an employer's most valuable resource is its employees. I don't want to bore you with repeating everything that's been said by the fellow employees that have stood before you prior to me, but I do want to reiterate a few things. The Phoenix Police Department is 500 short right now, and we can't hire. We can't hire quick enough. As has been said before, a healthy package for compensation and pay attracts workers. That will help us fill the 500 spaces that we have available right now to be hired. It also attracts and makes the process competitive, so we get the cream of the crop, so that we can ensure high levels of integrity within our organization, so that Phoenix Police Department can continue to be the law enforcement professionals that they are and do service for the city of Phoenix and its citizens. As was mentioned before by Unit 2, hundreds of thousands of hours was put up on the PowerPoint in furlough hours. Furlough hours equals no work. The bad news for the employees is we're not getting paid. But the bad news for the city of Phoenix is that's work that should be done that's not getting done. The folks that spoke before me went through the series of concessions. We're at our third step. I'm not going to bore you with that again, but and Will did a really good job of even comparing it to how it impacts with the economy and how the economy is growing and we're shrinking with our paychecks. Every time I turn on the radio, I hear how the money's just flowing in, how the airport is seeing an uptick in traffic, how holiday revenue is up by 27%, they said. We did $90 million worth of savings a few years ago at the Innovation Efficiency Task Force. Last year, we did $16 million in savings in our improvement to the healthcare system that the city, or healthcare trust that the city manages. 3 years ago, the City of Phoenix Police Department did a 57% reduction in overtime. All these monies that's being saved on a daily basis, yet we're cutting deeper and deeper to the bone. City employees, as has been said before, go out and they'll still continue to provide a high level of service until they find another job. And that's what we see on a daily basis. So, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, President Matson. Jason Stokes, did you want to give a few comments on behalf of our professional employees, Aspetia? Followed by, there was an additional card that came in that I will accept, Dory Levy, and then followed by President Ken Crane. Jason, Mr. Stokes, good to see you.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. Thank you for the opportunity. Jason Stokes, President of Aspetia. I'm here to support my labor partners here in their requests. I would like to also echo Sean's comments. When the economy took a downturn, we were approximately 3,300 members of Unit 7. We're at about 2,700 now. We're down about 600 positions. For 6 years, we've been asked to do more with less and for less. We've been willing to make changes to our benefits. We've been able to work harder, work longer. Our exempt employees are very, very taxed with their workloads. We hear about it on a daily basis. I challenge this council and our city manager that this be the year that we bring this stuff back. We bring the concessions back. We hire employees. We take care of our workforce. It's been a long road, and we're hoping to see the end of it. So, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Stokes. Ms. Dory Levy, did you wish to provide testimony on this item? If so, up to 2 minutes. And then President Ken Crane will be next. Ms. Levy, good to see you.
Thank you, Mayor. My name's Dory Levy. I work in police communications. We take the 911 calls and dispatch police for calls of service. Over this contract, due to continued concessions, our staffing numbers have decreased. We currently have 31 employees in training, which means that they work side by side with their trainer, and they're not fully trained on their own to work as their own position. We also have 30 additional openings for 911 within the city of Phoenix. The training program's 37 weeks long, so in order to become trained as a seasoned operator in both 911 and dispatch, that's a lengthy process. We're always hiring, but we've been having issues retaining both senior employees and new hires as well. The turnout for testing has been extremely low over the last year and a half due to the continued concessions and the high rate that the employees have had withheld for their retirement. Morale in the Bureau is lower than I've seen it in the last 14 years that I've been there. This is the result of the concessions that we've been forced to take over 3 contracts now. We've not had a raise in 8 years. Phoenix is no longer the cream of the crop when it comes to places to work. My coworkers have voiced and made it clear that they are sick and tired of continued concessions, contract after contract. They have lost all hope of things improving for us, and this has caused many employees to leave. We're tired of doing more with less and will not agree to continued concessions. The added stress and workload has caused more of us to have more health problems in resulting of more sick time used. We in 911 and dispatch are the lifeline for our citizens and our police officers. Imagine yourself calling 911, getting a recording stating, "All operators are busy. Please continue to hold until there's an operator available to take your call." 911 calls answered in 10 seconds or less is down to an average of 86% for our Bureau. That's, people calling in a life-threatening situation, their calls are not getting answered within 10 seconds. I invite each one of you to come observe in 911 and dispatch before considering continued concessions within the city of Phoenix and our Bureau also.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Our last speaker on this item will be Ken Crane, President of the Phoenix Law Enforcement Association. I have a series of cards here. Do you know about how long your presentation, a reasonable estimate? You have up to 12 minutes based upon the number of people donating time. President Crane.
I won't be as maybe as polished as my predecessors, but I'll be a lot shorter, so something to look forward to. First of all, my name is Ken Crane, President of Phoenix Law Enforcement Association. We represent about 2,000 rank and file Phoenix police officers. We would probably have a lot more police officers sitting here today, but as you know, we're 700 officers down right now. I want to start by saying that public safety has been good partners over the years. 6 years of cuts and concessions, which have resulted in savings of multi-millions of dollars to the city. We didn't like it, but we soldiered on, like the professionals that we are, to put the citizens first and protect the city. As you know, we had 2 arbitration processes in those 6 years. We took one on and we lost, and the city said, hey, honor the process. We didn't like it, but we did. We went to arbitration again, we won. We asked the city, hey, honor the process. You didn't. We soldiered on, we didn't like it, but we moved on. I think it's important to note that public safety is to a city essentially what the Second Amendment is to the Bill of Rights. You have all these rights enumerated in the Constitution, but the Second Amendment protects it. In a city, you want a viable city, you want to attract commerce, you want to attract residents, you want to have growth, but you can't have it without effective public safety. Without public safety, a city is nothing. They will collapse, they will fold. In my opinion, the only job comparable to that of a police officer is a military soldier in a combat zone, and I say that because I don't know of any other profession out there where you leave the briefing room locked and loaded with 40 rounds of live ammunition, knowing that at any moment you could be in the fight for your life and have to make a decision on whether or not to take a human life. It is an extremely heavy, heavy responsibility, and not just anybody can do these jobs. Firefighters run into burning buildings. Cops run to the sound of the gunfight while everybody else has the luxury of running away. And I can tell you that at that moment in time in your career, if you have to run into a burning building, if you have to run to a gunfight, you are the most underpaid person in the world at that point in time. In Phoenix, with the police department, our goal is to hire 300 new officers this fiscal year. I got news for you. We're not going to make it. We're just not. We've had to lower hiring standards to get people through the door. We can attract qualified candidates. And in fiscal year 2016, we got 90 more cops going out the door due to drop. So hiring 300 cops makes for a great soundbite on the news until the other shoe drops and you tell the media how many people are continually trickling out the door. These new hires, if we get them, are just going to allow us to keep our chin above the water line as we tread water. Add to that our new hires come through the door and we go, hey, surprise, we need 36 furlough hours from you. And they're like, hey, we didn't see that in the fine print. Okay, well, that's how the system works here. Unfortunately, the Phoenix PD is between a rock and a hard place. No significant hiring for almost 7 years, 6 years of cuts and concessions. I won't get into the weed on the numbers. You guys know them better than I do. Squads out on the street working dangerously short and understaffed. Officers demoralized and burned out. Officers that can't take a day off of work because their squads are so short-staffed. We have officers leaving drop early, not staying for 5 years, and we've got other officers who are hitting their 20 or 21 and saying, you know what, I don't need drop, I'm leaving, I'm getting out of this place. Add to that the furloughs that we've had imposed on us, which has kind of turned into quite the debacle. It's probably been one of the biggest points of contention, angst, and grief amongst our officers out of anything in that contract with the way those furloughs are structured and the way they run. And I'm wrapping up here. I just want to say this. I think Phoenix public safety has always been the gold standard statewide here in Arizona. It's what everybody aspires to. If you want to work in public safety, Phoenix has always been the place. We set the bar. We're the gold standard. I think we're still there. But in my eyes, from where I sit, we're losing the battle. We're losing the fight. And we're running the risk of falling below that gold standard to where we won't be able to attract viable, qualified candidates. Continued cuts and concessions drastically impair our ability to recruit quality and viable candidates. Our contract, this is our contract, our MOU for the PD. It took 40 years to build this with the rights and benefits that are in this thing. It was built a step at a time over 40 years. This is used heavily when we go out to recruit people. This is how we get people to come to Phoenix. Hey, take a look at what we got here for you. Come work for us, all right? But every year, we go through this thing, and the city goes, hey, we want some more pay. Hey, we want more concessions. Hey, we need more of this. And we slowly chip away this contract to the point where pretty soon we're no better than the rest of the places around the valley, and we're on this level playing field where we aren't the gold standard anymore, and we can't hire and we can't keep people. And then the downside is we run the risk of having officers, existing officers, that start looking and shopping around for other places that might be better than Phoenix. The grass is greener. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to go back home to Minnesota or Michigan and work there. I'll go to where my family is. That's what I got to say here, and I'm going to wrap it up at that point. Thanks for listening, and I just hope that you will take to heart and heed what we said here. we have to make changes. We have to find a way to stop these cuts, these concessions that are hurting our members, and get to a better place with that. So thank you.
All right, thank you very much, President Crane. We'll note for the record that President Crane received applause, but Will got a standing ovation. All right, we'll move on with our agenda for the remainder of the meeting. Thanks everyone for coming and participating in that important biannual portion of our agenda. Next is item 24 and 25. And I had put in a request that we continue 24 and 25 to give myself and other members of the council an opportunity to be briefed in detail on the on these items. Do you have a motion on 24, 25, Vice Mayor? My request is to continue 24, 25. 2 weeks. Yeah, I'm not asking for a long one.
Motion.
I thought we're shooting for the 16th, correct, Mayor?
That's my request, is 2 week continuance.
That's fine.
Motion is continue. Motion to continue items 24 and 25 December 16th.
Second.
We have a motion with second, and there were a few individuals here who who were opposed to the item. Dustin Pennington, Elite Factory, Corey Barite, and Will Guyona was neutral. Did any of you wish to provide testimony only on the issue of a 2 week continuance? Again, the purpose of the continuance was to give the staff an opportunity to brief in detail all the council members as to what exactly is in the proposed ordinance. Mr. Pennington or Mr. Barite, are you okay with the continuance for 2 weeks? Okay, we'll see you in 2 weeks then. Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It passes unanimously. Next item on the agenda, I believe, is 27. Vice Mayor, do we have a motion on 27? Oh, I'm sorry. Our city clerk needs to read the title, and then we'll take a motion. Mr. City Clerk.
Item 27, ordinance G6087, an ordinance amending the meet and confer ordinance number G1532 to replace references to chairman with chairperson, to clarify classification of staff for the Phoenix Employment Relations Board, and to clarify the timing of the release and distribution of reports and recommendations from fact-finding hearings.
Okay, now would be appropriate for a motion, I believe. Vice Mayor, do a motion on 27?
Motion to approve item 27.
You have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any comments? Roll call.
DeCiccio.
No.
Gallego.
Yes.
Gates.
No.
Nowakowski.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Waring. Williams.
No.
Valenzuela.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes, the item passes on a 5-4 vote. Next item, I believe, is 28. Do we have a motion on 28?
Motion to approve item 28.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second on 28. Do we have any cards on 28? That item was, oh. There, 28? I circled it. Was there? Okay. Just want roll call? Yeah. Roll call on 28. Sorry about that.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Gates.
Yes.
Nowakowski.
Yes.
Pastor. Waring. Williams.
Yes.
Valenzuela.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes, that item passes on an 8-1 vote. Item number 29, do we have a motion on 29? This is library architectural upgrades on-call services.
Motion to approve item 29.
You have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Councilman Gates, I have a notation that you may have comments on this item.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Actually had a question for staff on this. So this item deals with some architectural upgrades at the Burton Bar Library, is that correct?
Mayor, members of the council, I'm Deanna Jonovich, Deputy City Manager. I also have with me Rita Hamilton, the librarian, and yes, this is upgrades to the library.
Okay. And over the past few years, we've had a lot of reduction. We've had significant reduction in our library hours, right? Unfortunately.
Mayor, Council, yes, we have. It's been several years, but we did have reductions in the past.
And so I just wanted to be very clear before I voted on this particular item that these architectural upgrades to the Burton Bar Library, these will only come out of capital funds. Is that correct, or are we planning on using some of the operating funds of the library for this work?
Mayor, Council, I believe it's a mixture of both, capital and operating.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much. Those were all my questions then. Mayor, based upon that, I understand the need for the work, but again, given our reduced library hours, I'd like to see capital work coming out of our capital fund, so I will be voting against this item.
Thank you very much. Are there any additional comments by members of the council on item number 29?
I have a question.
Please.
Because it says general capital improvement bond or grant funds and any other funds may be used. So how much will be coming out of the general fund?
Mayor, Council, I don't have the exact numbers at the moment. We could get you that information.
Do I continue it?
Yeah.
Okay, can we continue this item? Is there any kind of time deadline if we hear this item on the 16th?
No, Mayor, members of the council.
Can we get a motion to continue item 29?
I move to continue item 29.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. Other council members may have requests for information, so maybe we reach out to each of the council officers, see if they want a full briefing. A motion to continue, a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Item number 30, do we have a motion on item number 30? Item number 30 is amending Hotel Corporation Articles of Incorporation.
I just had one question. Motion to approve item 30.
Second.
A motion and a second. Greta Rogers, real quick, member of the public, has a comments on this item. As she walks up. No, but anyway. Ms. Rogers, up to 2 minutes. Good to see you.
Mayor and council and members in attendance, I'm Greta Rogers. This hotel has been a colossal failure financially from before point of beginning. The city was consulted 3 major hoteliers, allegedly, before we broke ground on this disaster. And they all said, no, you don't have a market downtown for another major hotel. But with the bravado of our former mayor, who had more bravado than brains, we went ahead and built this colossal money loser. Sell the damn thing ASAP. This is one of the great failures the city has made in the last 10 years. This is now 7 years old. It's inexcusable, and it's one of the reasons you've had to consistently say no over 7 years to the employees, who are the engine of your city. Put this on the market and forget the falderall.
I thank you very much, Ms. Rogers. I think for brevity purposes, I will not ask the city manager to respond, but at some point, obviously, we'll have a longer discussion about the hotel and its impact on our general fund budget. Mr. Manager?
Thank you, Mayor. The funding for the hotel comes from the revenue generated by the hotel to pay the debt service. However, when it was constructed, the arrangement was that if there was a shortage of revenue, that it would be backstopped by the arena fund, which is not an operating fund. It is a special dedicated fund for capital facilities. That is the money that has paid to backstop the hotel. I would not say that the hotel is a colossal failure. I think it's been a great success for downtown, for the convention center. It's a $300+ million investment, and we've basically paid $28.5 million of capital funds from the arena fund to support it. So I would disagree with that assessment.
Thank you very much. So we have a motion, item 30. Second, Councilman Warren, do you have a question on it?
for the city manager, I guess. Basically, this item 30, by voting for it, it just makes it really possible to sell the hotel.
Mayor, Councilman Waring, yes, the Articles of Incorporation need to be amended so that we can specifically market and sell the hotel, correct? And that is what this item authorizes.
Thank you very much. We have a motion. We have a second.
Mayor?
Just Councilman Nowakowski and then Councilman DeCiccio. Please, Councilman Nowakowski.
You can go ahead and pass it to Councilman DeCiccio first.
Councilman DeCiccio, comments or questions?
No, just as a comment more along the lines of what this hotel really does represent to the city of Phoenix. And it's taxpayer money. We can talk about whatever fund it is. It's still taxpayer money. They're the ones who own the city. They're the one who own the funds. It's their money. Two, this has been a real problem for the city of Phoenix. I'm glad that we're moving forward at looking at prospective buyers. I don't know if that's ever going to happen given the amount of debt that's on this hotel. And I just want to give you at least a perspective. At least the public will understand how far in debt the city of Phoenix is on this hotel, which is backstopped by the general fund over time, which eventually could have an impact on our employees and the services we provide. You're talking about a purchase price of over $300 million. I think it was $330 million on this hotel. It's worth probably $150 to $170 today. So you're talking at least $100 million on the very low end to possibly $150 million of losses today. $150 million, because I think our debt right now is right around $300 million on this. So this is a problem. The other part of it is if you look at the operational end of it, the city of Phoenix has lost well over $28 to $30 million on this hotel. So this is a prime example of why government should never get into a field it does not understand, that it cannot literally judge. I was involved in the hotel from the very beginning, fighting it back in the late 1990s. That's when the court threw it out, just to give everyone a little bit of perspective. I'm very familiar with this hotel and how it came about. The courts turned down the very first case and said that that was illegal. The scheme that the city of Phoenix was looking at putting together to build the hotel the very first time was illegal. Then going through and trying to find a gray area, trying to find a way to circumvent the law, that's how the city of Phoenix created this new scheme that literally cost taxpayers over $150 million today. So I would say that that is a problem. That is a significant problem for the taxpayers. It's a significant problem for the city of Phoenix residents, because they're the ones who eventually will be on the hook to this. Someone will have to owe those monies. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Councilman Nowakowski, comments?
Just some clarification for the city manager. So would this come out of our general fund, or would it affect any of our employees in any way?
Mayor, Councilman Nowakowski, the backstopping fund is the arena fund, which are hotel and rental car taxes dedicated by the council to pay for debt service on the U.S. Airways Center, or whatever they call it now, the arena where the Phoenix Suns play.
Talking Stick Resort Arena.
Thank you. Talking Stick Resort Arena. And it also, the capital facility of TGen and the hotel. I would just also clarify for Councilman DeCiccio, we believe that the hotel is worth significantly more than $150 million.
And then, Mayor, just
please.
About 3 weeks ago, we got a new status on the hotel, which is a grand hotel now. There's only 13 in the world, and we were the first one here in the United States, and there's happens to be a second one in the United States, which is in Chicago, right outside of Millennium Park. So it's a whole different status also now. So.
All right, any additional comments or questions by members of this council? Okay, we have a motion, item number 30. We have a second. Roll call.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Gates.
Yes.
Nowakowski.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Waring. Williams.
Yes.
Valenzuela. Yes. Mayor Stanton.
Yes. Item 38, I believe, is next.
Mayor?
Councilman Williams?
I just want to confirm with staff that I think this is the intent to set the public hearing, and I want to make sure the public hearing is very clear that we are not only talking about 1 year, but the potential of a 2-year rate increase. I just need confirmation on it. I know we've had some talks because this is a replacement of water lines, and since we have thousands of miles of aging water lines. We want to make sure our citizens get the best quality water when they want it, and we're not having to repair the lines at all times. So Karen, I'll ask you.
Ms. Peters.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilwoman Williams, the question related to whether this is a notice of intent for a hearing on 1 year or 2 years of water and wastewater rate increases. The financial plan that's presented both to the subcommittee and that was discussed in policy session a couple of weeks ago indicated that the Water and Wastewater Rate Advisory Committee endorsed the financial plan, specifically the 3% and 2%, but are very comfortable with the additional 2% increase in 2017.
I'm sure that this has to come back to council for final approval, and at that point we can say 1 year, 2 year.
That's correct.
On the water. But I really would like the public to know, because I think it's responsible to advise them that we've gone a long time without an increase, and increases are now necessary, and you can budget and plan ahead for the following year, knowing that that's a potential and more than likely would happen to happen.
Yes, thank you.
Ms. Sorensen?
Yeah, Mayor, City Council, to be clear, the current notice of intent is for 1 year only. It would take an action of the council for a motion for it to be considered for 2 years.
I think what Councilman Williams wants to do is have a hearing that would at least include discussion of 2 years, looking out of the needs of the water system and wastewater system, 2 years, and then when it comes back to the council, we would have at least the option, if we decided to do so, of making any adjustment over a 1 year period, a 2 year period, or no adjustment at all, but at least have the option of a 2 year period. What would need to be done today by the councilwoman to allow for a 2 year look at water, wastewater rates?
So, Mayor, City Council, my understanding is that the council would need to make a motion to set the notice of intent for this year, and for it to also be a notice of intent that would cover next year as
Mr. Holm,
well.
would that be, can we do that motion today? That'd be appropriate?
Yes, it would, Your Honor, or Mayor.
Wow.
Your Honor, the Honorable Mayor, yes, it would be.
Too many years in court.
All right, Councilman Williams, does that give you your direction for what needs to be done today, if that's your desire?
Move that that's exactly what we do. Show that it has the intent, it will be a 2 year increase, knowing that we can modify it when it comes back.
So the motion is to file a notice of intent for consideration to adjust wastewater rates and set a public hearing date for both the fiscal year 2016 and 17 years. We have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a second on that motion. Now we'll move to discussion. Members of the council, any members of the council like to just provide any questions or comments on Councilman Williams' motion? There are no cards on this item. Richard Ray, if necessary. That's up to you whether it's necessary. Not necessary. Okay. With that, roll call.
DeCiccio.
No.
Gallego.
Yes.
Gates.
No.
Nowakowski.
No.
Pastor.
Yes.
Waring. No. Williams.
Yes.
Valenzuela.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes, passes on a 5-4 motion. Item 39, I believe, is very similar to 38. Councilman Williams, you have a motion on 39.
I would move, I think, move approval.
Second.
Does she need the same issue in terms, I think we need to
Issue,
make it
right.
clear that 2017 would at least be considered at the
Yes.
public hearing, therefore would be eligible for consideration by this council.
I think it's only fair that we notify the public of what the need is and what the cost is going to be. So,
All right, so if this motion passes, it will include wastewater and water rates, a look at 2016 and 17, and therefore could be considered by the council when it comes back before this council. I don't know, when is it going to come back before the council?
January.
January. Okay. So we have a motion. Do we have a second on Councilman Williams' motion? Do we have a second?
Yeah, we have.
We do have a second?
January 7th.
Any comments by members of this council? Roll call.
DeCiccio.
No.
Gallego.
Yes.
Gates.
No.
Nowakowski.
No.
Pastor. Waring.
No.
Williams.
yes.
Valenzuela.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes, the motion passes on a 5-4 vote. Mr. Vice Mayor, what is the next item? Are we done with our regular agenda? Are we on the planning and zoning at this time? Okay. Now we're going to move on to our planning and zoning agenda. And City Clerk says that 54 is the first item on the planning and zoning agenda.
Of this?
Okay, we
Mayor, members of council, item 54 was pulled out, I believe, by Councilman Waring. There is no cards or opposition that we are aware of on this item.
All right, so 54 then is in District 2?
No. Item 54 is a historic preservation bond fund allocation for low-income housing historic preservation rehabilitation program. And Ms. Michelle Dodds is here, can provide some more background information on item 54.
Okay, so I'm sorry. So 54 is not a zoning case. It has to do with a bond fund allocation. Do we have let's see if we have a motion on 54 first. Is there a motion on 54?
Move approval.
We have a motion. Councilman Pastor, will you second that item? Second the item. Councilman Warren, do you have questions on 54? You just want to vote? Okay. Anyone else have questions on item 54, bond fund allocation for low-income historic housing rehabilitation program? Roll call.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Gates.
Yes.
Nowakowski.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Waring. Williams. Valenzuela.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes, item passes on an 8-1 vote. Item 56, I'm sorry.
60. Go 60 now. We continued 56 already.
I apologize. We continued item 56. Item 60 is the next item. Item 60 is an item at 40th Street and Camelback Road in District 6. Councilman DeCiccio, do you want a short staff presentation to begin item 60?
We could. Do we have any cards? I believe we have one card on it.
Just a second here. We have 2 cards wishing to speak, and then a couple cards not wishing to speak.
Are the cards opposed or in favor?
They are both. One is representative of the applicant, the attorney for the applicant, and another one is Mr. Gordon Keith. Are you the applicant, Mr. Keith? Or you're here in support? Okay, so both are in support, Councilman DeCiccio.
Well, I'd like to just move it forward then, Mayor.
That's perfectly fine. Go ahead. What's your motion, Councilman?
Motion to approve item number 60.
Do we,
Mayor, members of council, and also adopt the related ordinance.
And adopt the related ordinance.
okay. Councilman DeCiccio has made a motion to approve the item.
No, it was
Motion to, I'm sorry.
Motion to adopt the related ordinance.
I know. Thank you, Council. There was a discussion between our city planning director and our city attorney to make sure that we have the proper motion. I apologize. Mr.
That's
City
okay.
Attorney.
I apologize, Mayor. Yes, this is a hearing. We did a hearing on it.
Mayor, members of council, there was a person who appealed this to force a public hearing today, even though they apparently didn't show up for the hearing. So I think we have to open the gavel, have the public hearing, close it, even though there's no testimony, and then move forward with the motion.
Thank you very much for the correction. I apologize, Councilman DeCiccio. So
No, that's good. That's
on
fine,
item
Mayor.
number 60, we're going to open a public hearing, and that's because of the disposition in which this case comes before us. Someone did appeal it to us. Okay. Okay, we're going to have a public hearing on item number 60, which is 40th Street and Camelback Road, southeast corner. Public hearing is now open. Is anyone in the public here wishing to provide testimony on item number 60, a zoning matter relative to the southeast corner of 40th Street and Camelback? Going once, going twice. I would give, there are 2 cards here, both in favor. You probably get a good sense of where Councilman DeCiccio is going to be making a recommendation, but in light of that, you still want to provide testimony? You're here in favor, though. Your card will be, you do want to provide testimony. Okay. And you're Mr. Keith, Gordon Keith? Gordon Keith. All right. Please come forward, up to 2 minutes of testimony, and thanks for coming down and your patience on a long meeting.
Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council. I'm Gordon Keith. I live at 4111 East Camelback in Camelback, Castile, which is next to the proposed project. I'm also on the HOA board. I'm the treasurer, and I approve this. I asked the city to approve this. It's a vacant lot, been there many years like that, and it's an eyesore. Thank you.
Thanks for your leadership on the HOA board. Thanks for coming down. Did anyone else wish to provide testimony on this item, noting that the cards will be submitted for the record? Going once, going twice. Public hearing is now closed. Councilman DeCiccio, now is the time for the motion.
I'd like to move forward, Mayor, the motion and to adopt the related ordinance. And then just a quick comment on that. This property has been an eyesore for so many years just because of the difficulty it's had to get anybody on there. It's a triangular piece. It has easements across it. It has multiple issues that somebody had to work through. And I believe they've been working on this thing well over 2 to 3 years now just to work through the issues on this property. And I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a restaurant, and I think it's going to be a really good use for that property, Mayor. And
Okay, so
move it forward.
we have the motion with the related ordinance. Now we have a second. Any additional comments by members of this council? Roll call.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Gates.
Yes.
Nowakowski.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Waring. Williams. Valenzuela.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes. Next item on the agenda, Vice Mayor.
Motion to approve item 62.
62, 63, and 64.
Okay, so we should take 62 first, obviously. Do we have to do them individually?
Mayor, members of council, 62, 63, and 64 are all related cases for the same parcel proposed auto dealership. I believe you could open the public hearing for those items, and there's just one person who wants to testify, but it's all related to those, and then separate motions afterwards would be in order.
So, Mr. City Attorney, do you agree with the analysis by our planning director as to how to proceed? Is it one hearing?
One hearing and 3 motions.
All right. So I'm going to open up the public hearing then on 62, 63, and 64. I have a card for the representative of Earnhardt, who are the owners of the property. Mr. Stephen Earl, do you provide testimony today on this item? And then we have Mr. Richard Fairborn, who is opposed to the item. I think he's opposed to all 3 items. He'll have the opportunity to provide testimony next. Mr. Earl.
Good afternoon. Let me first apologize for my Barry White voice. My name is actually Stephen Earl at 3101 North Central Avenue here in Phoenix. I'm here in behalf of the Earnhardt family. Tex Earnhardt is here along with Jim Babe Earnhardt. They've been in the automobile business for 65 years. That's when Tex first opened his first dealership. They now own 20 dealerships around the valley. This particular dealership is, if I can get this thing to work, well, maybe we have to turn it on somewhere. Is that this thing here? See if you can get it to work. There we go. The property in question, just so we're all familiar with it, is east of the northeast corner of 7th Street in Camelback. It's an assemblage of several properties. The top portion of this property was formerly occupied by a mobile home park, long since removed. What you see there are the pads associated with that. The middle part of the property is a very old derelict series of office condominiums that have long since fallen into disrepair. They have now been removed. And the south end of the property was a series of retail buildings. This is 8 acres. It's now been assembled with access onto 7th as well as access onto Camelback at both 8th Street on the west and 8th Place on the east side. The Earnhardt dealership proposed for this property I need to let you operate this thing because this, oh, there we go, finally. Apparently goes kind of slow. Try it again, next slide. I just want to get to the next slide. What is proposed here, thank you. What is proposed here is a Lexus dealership currently located on McDowell Road in Scottsdale. Due to changing demographics and a lot better overall market share at this location, Earnhardt's have decided to move from Scottsdale to Phoenix. This is one of the strongest dealerships they have. It has $100 million of sales per year. 44 million of those sales are subject to Phoenix sales tax. So it'll be a big operation. This slide just shows the reduction in trips that will be associated with this property under a dealership as opposed to its R5 zoning, which would be a high-density multifamily, as well as the commercial at the south end. Put it back on the site plan. So this site plan has been superimposed into the aerial. It comes to you with the recommendations from the village, the planning commission, and staff by unanimous votes. We have had extensive discussions with adjoining property owners. To the east, there is a dealership. To the north, there is a apartment complex, and to the east of that, on the other side of 8th Place, is a condominium complex. All of those have indicated their support for the project. We do have one person who is opposed. He owns a small architectural and office building to the west. You can kind of see it kind of midway up that aerial photograph. And a little green dot has now been placed on it. I think he is more worried about the abandonment of Pasadena. There is a stub street that goes between 8th Place and 8th Street currently. The hearing officer approved an abandonment of that street called Pasadena. You'll see it doesn't exist to the east or to the west. We would have liked to have worked something out for Mr. Fairborn so he could have continuing access, but it cuts right through the middle of the dealership building. We simply can't build this project with Pasadena in place, and it doesn't exist elsewhere. So we humbly submit that this is a good case. It's a good use. Infill, the redevelopment of dilapidated, derelict buildings into a beautiful new Lexus dealership would be a good use of this property.
Thank you very much, Mr. Earl. Mr. Fairborn, did you provide testimony at this time?
Thank you. Thank you. My name is Richard Fairborn. We own the property at 5042 that Mr. Earl just pointed out. I know that the 3 cards that I submitted said that I'm opposed to the project. I'm not opposed to the project. I actually think this is the right use for the property. However, when we purchased our property years ago, Pasadena was a street there. Whether it's been abandoned on each side or not is immaterial. And simply because their site plan doesn't acknowledge the fact that there is a road there, it is still city right-of-way, and they didn't deal with that. I'm not quite sure why that is incumbent on me to sacrifice what I consider the safety of our employees, tenants, and the owners of the building. Therefore, Mr. Earl's correct. The hearing officer did recommend for the abandonment of Pasadena. However, we have appealed that. And if I understand the rules, I know there's 3 cases here, 62, 63, and 64. I believe number 62, SP-7-15-6, is for a special permit. And if I understand the rules correctly, there's no way to grant that special permit over a city street. That city street has not been abandoned, it's not been recorded, it's not been resolved, it's on appeal. So I'm here today simply to make sure that my rights, whatever they are protected. And I don't think, it's my understanding, this zoning can't be granted under these circumstances. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fairborn. those are the two cards we had for item number 62, 63, 64. Is any member of the public here wishing to provide testimony on item 62, 63, or 64? Going once, going twice. The public hearing portion of these items is now closed. I saw our city attorney conferring, and we don't normally want to give any legal advice in a public setting, but obviously we want to make sure we're appropriate to move forward here today in light of Mr. Fairborn's comments.
Mayor, members of the council, as I understand it, the abandonment is not before the council today. It's on appeal. I believe it comes up in maybe 2 weeks. Is it up on the 16th?
Correct, 12/16.
Right.
Okay.
And then with respect to the other issue, Dan was conferring with Alan.
So, Mayor, members of council, zoning always goes out to the center line of streets. So in this case, whether or not Pasadena is there today and council decides in the future to abandon it or not on the 16th, the zoning, irregardless, would cover Pasadena.
Okay, well, I appreciate that. Mr. Fairborn brought up some very important issues, and I just want to make sure that we were getting appropriate advice that it's okay to move forward today in light of his the issues he brought up.
Mayor and council, I believe that Alan's right.
Okay, so the public hearing is closed. Councilman DeCiccio, did you wish to make a motion on item number 62? We'll take these in obviously in order, but we do have to make 3 different motions on the items. Item 62.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to move forward with to approve and adopt the resolution in front of us, and I'd like to address the.
Well, first, let's see. Just a second. Let's see if there's a second on the motion. Was that an appropriate motion? A motion, please.
Mayor
Yes,
and council,
Mayor.
it's an ordinance.
Ordinance,
This is a
I'm
zoning
sorry.
case, not a resolution.
Okay, so the Councilman DeCiccio then made a motion on the ordinance. There was a second. Is that right? Or
That's correct, Mayor.
okay, so Councilman DeCiccio, now's the time for comments.
I want to also make sure, because this is a zoning case, the abandonment does come forward on the 16th in front of the entire council, which then we can make that determination. But before that, I would like to have Alan, and then Alan, I want my staff in those meetings as well to meet with Mr. Fairborn to get his specific concerns that he has there on the abandonment. And I'd like to have it in front of me then. If there are any issues, then I want to be able to meet with Mr. Fairborn myself. But I want to walk through what those issues are ahead of time.
Mr. Stevens is about to answer you.
Yeah.
Go ahead, please.
Mayor, Councilman DeCiccio, I'm happy to meet with Mr. Fairborn and your staff and go over this issue before it comes before the full council on the 16th.
And thank you, Mayor. And then just as a point, we have, rarely do we get a zoning case where we have unanimous support, and we do here. I mean, people like the fact that this is the right use for the right property, but I don't think we realize how important it is to have the Earnhardts as vested members of our community. I mean, for too long, it's so difficult for these business owners to do well in our community. It's so hard in this economy, and for someone to make this substantial of an investment in the city of Phoenix, we need to applaud them for that. This project will bring in about $44 million a year in overall sales. It's something that we need to have in our city, and it's so difficult at times too to give them the credit that they deserve. These business owners that literally sacrifice everything to invest in our community. It passed the Planning Commission, it passed the village, and I'm hoping that it passes today too, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Any additional comments on item 62 by members of the council? Councilman Gates?
Thank you, Mayor. I would echo Councilman DeCiccio's comments. Thank you very much to the Earnhardt family for this investment in the city of Phoenix. And I want to congratulate Councilman DeCiccio and Community and Economic Development for their great work on this project. Bell Lexus left Phoenix a while back, leaving us with no Lexus dealers. And now we will have a Earnhardt Lexus plus the Bell Lexus up in District 3 was replaced by Mark Mitsubishi. So it sounds like a 2-for-1 to me. And sales tax revenues coming from these auto dealerships is so important. We were talking a lot about the bottom line earlier, and these are the types of things that are going to make a difference. So congratulations to everyone involved.
And Mayor, if I could add on to that too. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
If you look at the importance of automobile sales in the city of Phoenix, I believe they represent close to 18% of our total general fund. And that's significant. Of all the sales tax dollars generated, approximately 18% of that come from automobile sales. So anything we can do, and this is a message to staff, to continue to focus on these types of businesses and these types of users, especially people like the Earnhardts, who have had such an incredible stake in not just in Phoenix, but in the entire valley and state.
Excellent. All right, so we have a motion, we have a second, roll call.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Gates.
Yes.
Noakowski.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Waring. Williams.
Yes.
Valenzuela.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes, so item 62 passes unanimously. Councilman DeCiccio, do you have a motion on 63? 63 is, this is a zoning case. Okay, so you have a motion on 63?
Motion to approve, Mayor.
Is that appropriate motion? Or do you need more?
And adopt the related ordinance.
And
just to be clear.
adopt the related ordinance.
Do you have a second? Any additional comments beyond what was made earlier? Roll call.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Gates.
Yes.
Noakowski.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Waring. Williams.
Yes.
Valenzuela.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes, 63 passes unanimously. Item number 64, do you have a motion on that, Councilman DeCiccio?
Motion to approve and adopt the ordinance.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any comments by members of this council on item 64? This will be the completion of the matters as it relates to the Earnhardt dealers on Camelback Road. The only comment I would make is I appreciate Councilman DeCiccio's comments, although I often think that with the comments he makes, there is some bull involved. In this case, there ain't no bull.
Very
Somebody
good,
had
Mayor.
to do it. Somebody had to do
Mayor,
it.
very good. Well done.
All right, roll call.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Gates.
Yes.
Noakowski. Pastor.
Yes.
Waring. Williams.
Yes.
Valenzuela.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes, Mr. Earnhardt, you've never heard that one before, I'm sure. All right, good to see you. All right. All right, next item, Vice Mayor.
Motion to approve item 65.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. We're on 65, and I need to do a public hearing on 65. I apologize. So now, the next item on the agenda is item number 65. 65 involves the southeast corner of 83rd Avenue and McDowell Road in District 7. At this time, I'll see if there's any staff report on item number 65.
Mayor, members of council, real quickly, item 65 is a general plan amendment to change the designation from residential to commercial. Item 66 is the related zoning case to put in C2 zoning on that property to allow for development of a QT gas station and some related retail. This is on for a public hearing just because state statute requires that general plan amendments have a public hearing. I don't believe there's anyone here in opposition on this item.
Thank you very much. I'll now open up the public hearing on item number 65. Public hearing is now open. There is one card on it not wishing to speak, Chris Forgren. Is there anyone else in the audience wishing to speak on item number 65, southeast corner of 83rd Avenue and McDowell? Going once, going twice. Public hearing is now closed. Councilman Noakowski, do you have a motion on item number 65?
Mayor, motion to approve, adopt related resolutions.
Second.
Related ordinance.
Was that appropriate motion?
Related ordinance.
I'm sorry.
Mayor, members of council, in this case, a general plan, so it's a resolution.
Okay. I would politely say maybe in future information provided, make it clear whether it's an ordinance or a zoning case, we get the language of the motion correct. So that is a proper motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Gates.
Yes.
Noakowski.
Yes.
Pastor. Waring. Williams.
Yes.
Valenzuela.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes, that item passes unanimously. I just realized 66 is on the similar corner, but I only announced the public hearing for once. I'll quickly do a public hearing on item number 66. The public hearing is now open. Is anyone here to provide testimony on item number 66 as it relates to a zoning case, southeast corner, 83rd Avenue and McDowell Road? Chris Forgren also wanted to indicate his support, but not wishing to speak. Anyone else here on that item? Going once, going twice. Public hearing is now closed. Councilman Noakowski, do you have a motion on 66?
Yes, Mayor, motion to approve Planning Commission's recommendation and adopt related ordinance.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Roll call.
DeCiccio. Yes. Gallego.
Yes.
Gates.
Yes.
Noakowski.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Valenzuela. Yes. Mayor Stanton.
Yes. I'm not sure if there are any other items on our regular agenda. Is there? Which item is that? 67. Was 67 continued?
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're going to move on to item number 67, which is in District 7, a rezoning application related to 19th Avenue and Lower Buckeye Road. Was there an intent to continue this item? Was that a mistake earlier not to continue it? Or that's the one that I...
It was pulled because...
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to continue to January 20th.
You have a motion to continue January 20th. We have a second. Ms. Corey, you're representing the applicant. The motion right now is to continue the item, so I'll take any testimony you have, but only as relates to whether or not we should hear it today or move it to a different date, not the underlying item. Please.
Absolutely. For the record, my name is Jennifer Corey from Zoning Strategies, 4120 East Thistle Landing. Of course, we were hoping to come here for an approval today, but in talking to the councilman's office, he had some additional questions and wanted us to address some issues. We are happy to talk with the councilman, any mayor, any members of the council, and any constituents who have questions about it, and we look forward to it. We look forward to seeing you on January 20th.
Thank you.
All right, see you soon. Happy holidays. We have a motion to continue, a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Do we have any other items? 68 is the next item. This also is in District 7, a proposed rezoning of 4th Avenue and Van Buren. Do we need a public hearing on this item?
Mayor, members of council, we don't need a public hearing on this item. It was not appealed, so if there's a...
We have a card in opposition on item 68. It is from Officer Scott Safranca, who was here earlier. I don't know if the Officer Safranca is still here, but we'll make sure his opposition to the proposal is made for the record. And maybe we could check with Officer Safranca to make sure that he had put a card in on the right item there. And then also Sherry Rampey is in favor of the proposal. Councilor Noakowski, do you have a motion on item number 68?
Mayor, motion to approve.
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. Any additional comments by this council?
Mayor, I would just add and adopt the related ordinance associated with that. This action only puts historic preservation overlay on the property.
Okay, Councilman Noakowski, did you wish to adopt the related ordinance?
Absolutely,
Okay.
Mayor.
And the second is okay with that? Okay, roll call.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Gates.
Yes.
Noakowski.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Waring. Williams.
Yeah.
Valenzuela. Mayor Stanton.
Yes, that item passes unanimously. I believe that is all the planning and zoning items. So we're done with our regular agenda. We do have some additional citizen comment cards. As we said earlier in the meeting, each citizen who is here to comment that was not able to comment earlier in the meeting will now have the opportunity to speak for up to 3 minutes. Under our city council rules, we will stay a minimum of 15 minutes. Council members may have business that they have in their districts, so they may not be able to stay. If we lose a quorum, we'll have to stop hearing comments, obviously, at that time. Mr. Kim Baker, is Kim Baker here? I know he may have been heard earlier, so I'm hoping he's able to come to a future meeting and provide testimony. Joanne Scott Woods, good to see you, up to 3 minutes of testimony. Ayanna Rains, are you here? Yeah. And then Michael Chambers, excuse me. Leonard Clark, is Mr. Clark still here? He may have had to leave, and then followed by Dalwi Hartzell, is that correct? You're the last speaker then. Ms. Woods, the floor is yours.
Okay. On the first anniversary of the murder of unarmed roommate Brisbane at the hands of Officer Mark Ryan, we're still asking that the Brisbane family receive the full $65 million in Remain's wrongful death lawsuit. These are the words that are written by my son, so I'm reading them, Jeff Woods. We are asking the DOJ to do an investigation into his death and launch a full investigation of the Phoenix Police Department and we are calling for the resignation of Mayor Greg Stanton. Nearly 1 year ago, 500 people gathered to shut down the streets for justice. The public pressure led to the resignation of Chief Garcia. Our mayor and city council promised reforms to ensure policy for police accountability. After meetings with Mayor Stanton, he has done nothing of substance and has not even offered a response to our demands. Under his leadership, Phoenix ranks number 3 in the country with 13 citizens who have been killed by the police in 2015. Since he has taken office, Phoenix leads the country in death by cop and surpasses New York City in killings by police, despite there being 5.5 times the size of our population. 10% of the force has had body cams, and we don't even have a single cop car equipped with a dash cam. This lack of oversight puts every police killing into question. We demand that all Phoenix PD be equipped with body cams and all vehicles be equipped with dash cams. We are also demanding a Citizens Review Board with subpoena power to ensure the safety of people of Phoenix and justice for brutalized or murdered citizens. That police stop working with immigration enforcement to ensure none of our migrants are afraid to report crimes. For a data-driven early intervention system for identifying at-risk officers for violent behavior, training in citizens' rights, including written and signed Miranda forms before a suspect is brought to the station for questioning, and extensive training in the use of restraint. These demands are reasonable. We have the excess funds freed by the transit proposition to make these changes reality without putting our city into a budgetary crisis. We don't want our city or any family to have to suffer through another tragedy like Remain Brisbane's, Michelle Cousseau's, or Danny Rodriguez. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Woods. Ms. Raines, did you provide a testimony before this council?
Yes, I am the mother of Ayanna Raines. Remain Brisbane was the father of her, was her father. I'm asking for the Phoenix Police needs to have the DOJ come and investigate. This whole case has been a roller coaster, and it's been coming out with information that should have been looked at the Bill Montgomery. How I feel is Bill Montgomery has Remain's blood on his hands because he knows what happened that day. And had we had body cams, we would know exactly what happened that day as well. For you to be shot in your back, and you're saying that you were defending yourself, for somebody to be shot in their back and say that you're defending yourself as an officer, I'm sorry, but I have, my father's a retired officer. I know retired police officers, and the story just doesn't add up. And for us to just look it over and just say it's okay, it's okay, it's just another whatever you guys want to call him, what you guys were calling him in the media. He was somebody's father, and we haven't done anything. The state attorney's office didn't even present it to a grand jury. We didn't get any type of communication with the police department. It was very nasty on how they came, to us. So I just want you to know, we're not gonna stop. It's justice is gonna be served for him and his daughters. He didn't deserve what he got that day. He was bringing McDonald's home to his daughter because his daughter's mom was sick. And he was shot in front of his 18-month-old daughter.
I'm Ayanna, and I just want to say thank you for all the people that have been supporting me and fighting for justice for my dad, Remain Brisbane. I'm really thankful for what you are doing for me and my sisters, and most of all, my dad, Remain. My dad didn't deserve to die. I don't get why Mark Ryan's life is more important than my dad's. My unarmed dad, who was not threatening life, was not. I still have not gotten justice for my dad. He was a great father, son, and friend. Life has not been the same without my dad. I feel Mark Ryan is a coward and he should not be walking around free. My dad deserves justice and I will never stop fighting for him. He was my everything. Mark Ryan has ruined me and my sister's lives. He killed my dad for nothing. A stupid pillbot will remain.
Thank you very much for for coming down and being patient throughout the meeting and providing that important statement. Mr. Hartzell? Please, up to 3 minutes of testimony.
Your dad's in heaven and he's not hurting at all. I have some good news to close us out with. When I was an adolescent, first I'd like to thank you for, I don't know if you got my invitation with your messenger, but I invited you to the City Council along with Channel 15. Chuck, he's an organist for the Valley, Shepherd Valley Lutheran Church, and he's also a high school teacher or band teacher. And my proposal is to take and have our adolescents with their idle hours during the 3 months of vacation time incorporate more of a drum and bugle corps instead of band. A band is like a rinky-dink, drum and corps is precision, articulation, all kinds of judging. And briefly, then joined the Vanguard's Drum and Bugle Corps. When I was 12 years old, played the baritone. If you're not familiar with the drum and bugle corps, it's like a marching college band 10 times better, considering all the self-discipline and practice throughout the years that they did require. At age 17, then I go on self. You have my literature up there with that one woman. And one of my things is where God says it's going to take a valley to raise a child. We're talking about a lot of child. We're talking about adolescents, teenagers, and the churches would provide like free lodging for the band corps, because this isn't just Phoenix. I would like to see it go through the United States. You got your state competitions. That's going to put Phoenix right on the big, and it turned into originally drum corps into a big business and such. But when it turned into that big business and went separate itself way, they took and sold their morality and values, because when Drum and Bugle Corps, when they started off in the late 60s and early 70s, you had a dress code, you had honor, and you had respect. So right now this is, I would like to think, in the infancy phases, and we're starting to get the gear turning slowly, maybe the ball. And if it's all right with Mr. Mayor, maybe we could sit down and propose this ideal. My theory here, separate from this, is a lot of these people have gotten themselves in trouble. If they had just obeyed the law and done what the officer had said to do, they would still be alive. And so if they want to change the law, go through legislature. If they don't like it, go to another country. There is a way we can all work together and cooperate. So with that, have a good Christmas, and I'll hope to make up.
You say that. Don't put God in that.
Thank you very
God
much.
is in everywhere.
Please
Okay,
finish,
Your Honor.
please.
And let's see, I could probably come up with something else, but, 7 teenagers, excuse me.
Blake, just wait a minute until he leaves, and then you have a chance, opportunity to finish.
This is going to sound a little ludicrous, but the fact of the matter is 7 of our adolescent football players this year have been murdered on the football field. They are not body conditioned to have to go through the physical endure and punishment that they go through. That's why I really don't think football should start till college age. And again, we'll talk about it. Don't fall asleep on me, sir. I'll see you later. Take care. Thank.
All right, that ends our meeting for today.
Well, I've got a card.
And I propose we try it, think about it.
Sir, I can't respond substantively other than express disappointment at the comments made at the family. I'm so sorry. Ms. Barker, sir, your testimony is now done. Ms. Barker, it's your turn. Okay, and then is Ms. Rogers still here? She wanted to provide testimony, so Ms. Barker, apparently you're the last card. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Stanton and Councilman. And I'm wondering if Sal DeCiccio is still with us. Okay, because I wanted to talk about Sal. You know, I am for business and for the city growing and commerce and like that. But We had item 60, and that happens to be Mr. Rapp. He had something to give to the city and the planning department and all that, and the restaurant and so forth. And no wonder Sal's not handling Mr. Rusnick's problem, because Mr. Rusnick just wants the city to go on non-dust proof, which the city has ordinances, and where they're deficient, the state has it. And so, anyway, Mr. DeCiccio, for all the good that you're doing, I stand with you in many issues. I am not happy that you have to quid pro quo. None of you should quid pro quo. You're here for public servants, and you've taken an oath to do that. And thank you for those that are doing it. And I wanted to just briefly touch the FAA lawsuit. And I remember reading the letter that Mr. Zerker got, and also I went to the Roosevelt Action. And what I'm seeing here is we're growing. You all know we're giving contracts, we're growing the downtown. The mayor says, $5 billion? Great. But we have an urban airport that has a lot of issues, not only noise pollution, these route changes and so forth. Remember, number one, we do any transportation project for safety, 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 safety. And it looks to me that the FAA doesn't want to budge because the airlines and they have determined apparently it's the most safe and cost efficient. If they do, according to the letter, it would be very little. We need to come to reality of this. Denton, for the historical neighborhoods, I saw Mr. Goddard's pleadings, and they're charging $910 an hour, and they're up to $100,000, and they're still asking for money. And the only issue they're going to determine is, okay, notify us, FAA, historic neighborhoods. The people are being taken from this. We need to have our government make good decisions from the time that they were out at Sky Harbor, and to give you, our representatives, the information so we can go to these hearings, okay? And finally, in transit, I was an employee that helped people get around. I was a commemorated employee, and I wish Sal was here because I wanted to bring free market ideas into a system and increase ridership. I still know how to do that today. I fervently believe that, and we don't have to have these huge subsidies and bargain all of this away just to get everybody, happy. Come on, let's do things right and care about the little guy while you're collecting money from the big guy.
Thank you very much. I believe there are no other public comments today, so our meeting is now adjourned.